break it down. Keep it moving to the top. Push it, never stop. Make it fun, make it pop. Hustle till you drop. Keep it moving to the top. Push it, never stop. Make it fun, make it pop. Hustle till you drop. I gotta cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down. I gotta cool down, cool down, cool but you didn't come to play. 'Cause you got it, you mean it, you get there soon. And while you're grinding, making dreams come true, sometimes you gotta let your body loose. Time to party, but those dance moves to good use. Yeah. Let your hands go up, stomp your feet. Let me see you kicking it back on the dance floor, on the dance floor. Feel the beat, electrified. Move your hips side to side on the dance floor, on the dance floor. On the dance on the dance floor.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. Ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame. Show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, my time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down. It's It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'm never going back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off of my brain and I'm back to the bone.
Welcome back to another day here of the Kartrider Drift League here in 2023. My name is Wolf. I'm joined by State today. We have 2 team matches coming at you guys and one of our groups here in the round of 16 for solo matches as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting time, man. Weekend Kartrider Drift, my favorite time of the week, really. Every single solo match has been stellar this far. With some of the new rules, we haven't really gotten anybody with those 3 wins in a row, but I feel like maybe today we have a chance. So there's a lot to look forward to today as we get a quick look at the standings. As for the teams playing today, kind of a low-stakes match to start things off. With Finale versus NUTMITE. NUTMITE right now might have a shot of making the wild card round in the playoffs, but for Finale Esports, I think they're just kind of trying to stop the bleeding at this point, you know?
Yeah, it's important for those teams to take a win. We'll take a look at today's predictions as well. They are heavily favored by the fans here against NUTMITE. Finale, that is. On the opposite side, you'll see a very similar ratio here, but MIRAEN and SEJONG massive favorites against Desperado. That match, on paper, definitely more one-sided than the first one, but stronger team, so I think we'll see a really good game there. Then you look at the predictions on the bottom side of things here for the solo match, and Luning holding up a ton of that fan vote. Earlier today, he was actually over 70 as well. The guy is just really a big fan favorite tonight.
Yeah, well, you were high on Luning from preseason 1, if I remember correctly, and for good reason. He's one of the best players in the league, and he's certainly proved it. We have our teams coming onto the stage. We are speedrunning through.
Yeah.
This pre-show, Finale Esports, kind of the reformed Old Rocks Esports club on stage. But of course, after HoJun retired, it's been hard for them to fill the void. I know they brought in Hong between preseason 2 and here in the regular season of KDL. Partly because he's a very well-rounded player. He's both good at speed mode and at item mode. But as of yet, this kind of Old Rocks roster coming onto the new Finale hasn't really been able to get too much done. And I'm actually very surprised, Wolf, that they are favored so heavily here against NUTMITE because, at least from my perspective, I'm thinking NUTMITE is probably favored in this matchup.
Well, I think, you know, you look at NUTMITE, I agree. I would actually favor them as well. They have the better record so far this season, albeit by 1 win. But I think NUTMITE has a lot more unproven talent, whereas on the side of Finale, a lot of their players are very famous, right? You look at some of the players here, Scald, someone everybody knows, Wave, Snoopy as well, the item ace. But these players aren't as well known as the players on Finale, players who do extremely well in the solo matches as well. So perhaps it's just the fame of those players that gives the fans the right to predict them, even if they're maybe not favorites tonight on our eyes.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Kartrider has, you know, one of the longest history in esports out here in Korea. So fans of the show, especially the Korean fans that are generally the ones to vote on those kind of predictions, generally tend to favor the veterans, the tried and true. And for today, that's going to be Finale Esports, but coming into this Saturday, they're 0-4 overall in the standings. And so they're saying it's not over until it's over, but we were kind of joking in the pre-show that it kind of is over for these guys.
Yeah, if they win all of their remaining matches and a certain set of circumstances, very complex ones do happen, they could get that wildcard match. But if they lose today, I'm pretty sure that mathematically they will be out. So
yeah, one
last chance to start the miracle run. Peanut bomb, still just a peanut anyways. These are always one of the best parts of the KDL.
Yeah. Finale Esports coming in. As you said, with the round robin format, of course, having 8 teams, you only have 7 matches before you head into the playoffs. And so for Finale Esports, the best they could hope for is 3 wins and 4 losses and some kind of tiebreaker with a set and round differential. But those differentials are not very good. So I think they just kind of want to stop the bleeding, try to end this season on a high note. And NUTMITE, there is a chance that they can make for that wild card position, given that they have 1 win already in the books. They're looking to try and stop their losing streak now. Hopefully will be able to lead them to a victory. And so far in speed, it really has just been Will leading the charge. He's by far the best racer on this team in team speed mode. He's actually one of the best racers in the league, as you can see, all the way up there in 5th. But kind of similar to Rox Esports in preseason 1 and preseason 2, they often, if they won with speed, it was WooJun in first place and a 1-2 finish with one other racer, right? And it feels like with WooJun gone, Will is kind of following that ace role in speed, but there isn't anyone really to back him up. They're not getting any 1-2s.
Yeah, the most important thing of the Unbreakable Spirit, they joked this Unbreakable Will as well, with Will on this roster. There's a famous quote from Deft. Of course, if you guys follow other games here in Korea, you've definitely heard this quote. But I think for me, I look at Scald as one of the big standout players on this roster as well. He's been more of a sweeper type so far for them, but definitely a very skilled player, has had some decent performances in solo as well. Taking a look at the track list today, we're going to Mexico Touring Rally, the Glacier Extreme Stadium, which is my new favorite track. It's just become my favorite. Those hairpins always just get me really excited. Then we'll go to Mind Winding Slopes, World Tour Terracotta Twister, much later in this track list than we normally see it, and we'll end things on Shanghai Circuit. We won't be going to Village, Bayside Bridge Run, or Boom Hill Tunnel, 2 of the more popular maps here in the KDL, both banned away.
Yeah, and surprisingly, NUTMITE, after winning the coin toss, actually took item priority, which I wasn't especially expecting here against Finale Esports. I think that NUTMITE has a good chance to beat Finale in speed mode if they have the tracks that they're prepared on, but suppose they want to focus more on item, and we'll see how that strategy is going to play out for them as we get ready to dive right into Finale Esports versus NUTMITE. It's going to be track number 1 here to kick things off in speed, WKC Mexico Touring Rally.
Off we go, Finale Esports versus NUTMITE. These 2 teams are struggling quite heavily here in this 2023 team season. Starting things off with Scald and Will leading the pack.
Yeah, wow, NUTMITE actually off to a really good start here with Will and Wave, as well as Scald basically leading the charge right out of the gates. Now, Finale is fighting back here on this long sweeping turn as we enter one of the downhill sections here on Mexico Touring Rally. And you know, with the collisions on this track, it's worth noting that with the new patch, of course, if you have these collisions with other racers, no longer is your nitrous gauge getting diminished as it was in preseason 1 and preseason 2. This is a new patch, and as a result, really a bit more of a combative style from Finale coming through, and so far they've been winning these body fights. Now they have a big lead. Yeah,
Ding here starting to build up a quite large lead over everybody else. Duzzi and Hung blocking here. Scald is going to actually try to approach, but won't be able to maintain that lead here on that turn. And top 3 going over to Finale Esports here is going to be tough to crack on this track because a lot of it is very narrow. It's a 1-lap track as well, so not a lot of distance to cover here. And someone is going to have to break through and create some disruption. Maybe it'll be Scald here.
Actually a big mistake there, I believe, by WooJun on Team Finale, who collided with that wall. Wasn't quite anticipating the turn, and so Scald's going to have a chance here taking this inner line to disrupt the 1-2. Of course, 1-2 is a win condition here in speed mode. If Scald can break it up, there is a chance that NUTMITE is going to be able to edge ahead, but there's only 400 meters left to go.
Yeah, they're going to need to make something happen. There's just not a whole lot of space here, though. Hong and Ding controlling it the whole way through, despite WooJun making that big mistake earlier with a collision. And the middle of the pack being dominated by NUTMITE. They just could not crack there. And that's one of the things about Mexico is when you're in these tight corridors, you don't actually have an opportunity to try to outline somebody, try to take a tighter line, take a risk, because there's finite opportunities. So starts on 1-lap tracks like this are so important. And you can see why here. Finale, pretty dominant start to this series.
Yeah, actually, watching how confident Hong and Ding were able to take that final straightaway, I'm wondering whether WooJun actually just sacrificed himself to try and kind of ping-pong off of the wall and then just disrupt the follow-up players there for Team NUTMITE. As you know, for Team Finale, when you recognize that kind of win condition, this is something that we see a lot of the good teams do in speed mode. You just identify, is it going to be a 1-2? Are we going for like a 2-3-4? How are we going to close this thing out? Yeah. And then you have players that can just come in and basically sacrifice themselves to try and sweep. So perhaps that was what WooJun tried. In any case, he wasn't really able to get the disruption that he wanted, but Finale didn't need it. They take track number 1.
Yeah, you can call it sacrificial sweeping, you know, perhaps, but definitely could be a way to further that lead for your top 2 runners. We are moving into our second track now, Glacier Extreme Stadium, to see if NUTMITE can tie us up 1-1.
And off we go on the snowy slopes of Glacier Extreme Stadium. Finale leading this best of 5 in speed mode 1-0.
Yeah, and already Finale with a great start here. Vega trying to break through, unfortunately not quite able to make that happen there. Look for a tighter line here. Okay, that's a nice recovery.
Yeah, but it is a 1v3 situation right now. He needs Will and Skull to come up and try and lend him some support. Now Will, with this tight inner line, is able to actually work his way up into top 3, trying to see if he can catch on to Ding. Oh, he went for a very ambitious inner pass, but not being able to trade well there, and now Hong can actually just kind of sweep him away.
Yeah, Hong sweeping very good there on some of those corners, and oh, Will hits the corner as well. Now Vega trying to catch up, but look at how much distance is between Hong and WooJun and Ding, so they can take the most aggressive inner lines here without any fear of someone knocking into them, and that gap is widening substantially here in this first lap.
Yeah, WooJun and Ding are basically in time trial mode, and they can draft off each other too, so I'm expecting to see Duzzi and Hong both try and do the most ambitious blocking they can. Hong was trying to box out Scald, unable to make it happen, but there's a lot of room to play with collisions here if you're Hong, and it's similar to track number 1. If you're on Finale right now, you're just looking for that 1-2 finish.
And you want to just stop Scald when we get to hairpins. Once the hairpins happen, that's going to be his best chance to try to outmaneuver them there, but the gap is so wide, it's going to be tough. Now Vega actually getting closer here as well. Nice bump forward is going to push him closer. Ding here in a little bit of danger of getting past as we move towards those hairpins here in just a moment. This is your chance, NUTMITE.
Oh, NUTMITE Vega coming through with that draft, able to pass and work his way up into second place. Now NUTMITE, Vega and Scald, if they can unseat WooJun here from first place, they might have a chance to actually bring this one home, but 400 meters left to go. Vega's gonna take this wide turn, but on this straightaway, I don't think there is enough speed, and Finale with a not even 1.35, a 1.34 finish. Gonna take 2 tracks in a row, and I gotta say, I was expecting NUTMITE to put a little bit more of a fight up here in the first couple of tracks, but Finale is looking so good today in speed mode.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's been about the starts being so fantastic here. I mean, this has kind of been, ever since Kart Rider Drift came out, the way that the best teams have found success is to get that 1-2-4. Usually the person in 4th place is going to create disruption for the 3rd player, and then you kind of have this 3v1 situation, and even if there are the rest of the teammates trying to pass that 4th place player, harassing him, trying to get ahead of him, it becomes very difficult for them to efficiently do so. And if you can actually, in the first 500 meters of the race, have 1, 2, and 4 set up, or 1, 2, 3 if you're fortunate enough to be there, it's just so hard to catch up. And Finale is playing like they're Kwangdong freaks, in terms of these starting block, the ways they're taking that 1, 2, and 4 position so carefully and so decisively. It's hard to say this is a team that's 0-4 right now. It just doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and I'm surprised how well they've been able to work this 1-2 finish, despite the fact that the sweeping, although they're going for the right strategy, hasn't been as good as it can be. They just don't need it. Let's see if they can close this one out in team speed here on Mine Winding Slopes.
Off we go here in round 3. Finale Esports on speed match point here, 2-0. And once again, a decent start, but not quite what we saw from them in the last 2 tracks here. A lot more competitive.
Yeah, NUTMITE with a much better beginning here, and it's going to be Will, notably, coming into that top 3. But, oh, man, he hugs the wall a little bit too tight. He's been going for some really tight angles to start off these tracks, and it hasn't really been a winning formula for him. He's have to try and fight his way back up, but you can already see Ding starting to create some distance here in first place.
Yeah, he really is. Wave needs to really hold on to this position here. He can then start to force WooJun out, but oh man, WooJun, he changed sides so carefully there. Didn't lose any momentum.
We were talking about how the sweeping for Finale hasn't been quite as good as it really can be in terms of potential, but WooJun right there in the first quarter or so of this track was able to land some really big body checks both on Wave and on Will, so Ding in a very comfortable first place position. WooJun still in a good spot in 4th place.
Yeah, Wave with a really nice line there to try to close some of that distance, but Ding is just taking the tightest ones possible because he has enough space there in the front. Finale, of course, winning in the middle of the pack battle. You saw that track show up there. Look how far behind Vega is. It's massive how far back he and Scald are, so you really need to get 1-2 here. basically, or else you're done as NUTMITE, and I don't know if it's going to happen. But
Yeah,
that sweep!
Hung is even bullying Will here, so it's going to be a 1-2-3 finish. FNL Esports sweeping speed mode here against Team NUTMITE, and I guess NUTMITE had the right call after winning the coin toss to favor item mode because speed was not close, and frankly, that's really surprising to me. I mean, coming into today, the average rate for NUTMITE much better than Team Finale, although arguably their opposition so far in the regular season hasn't been as great. Their win rate more than 10% greater than their opponents, but today just get absolutely dominated in speed, and Finale is going to try and close this one out here in item mode.
Yeah, I mean, Finale, that was one of the most dominant performances we've seen here in the 2023 season. That was very straightforward, sweet, and to the point, and we mentioned it, you were just talking about the strength of schedule was much harder for Finale leading into this, so it does look like, if you haven't really been paying attention, oh, this must be the weakest team in KDL, but that's just simply not true. We will, of course, have our item aces subbed in. Plansy will be coming in here for WooJun, a very well-known item ace. You mentioned his history, of course, with Rocks, and see how he's performing today. I ran into him earlier. He was talking to his teammates. He didn't look like he was phased at all about going into today's matchup. Looked like he was in good condition, and that is, of course, very critical. Snoopy, of course, will be the item ace for NUTMITE. Not as well known as Plansy, I would say, but definitely a familiar face here in KDL.
Yeah, and some of these rookies coming in, or these lesser-known players in item mode, whether they be a hybrid player or an ace, or specifically an item specialist, have been really able to kind of turn the meta on its head, both in preseason 1 and preseason 2. I remember going from basically the wombo combo setup to a lot more tempo-based and aggressive in preseason 2 for a time. And oftentimes when there's a big shakeup in item mode in terms of meta, in terms of play style, historically here in the KDL, we've had about a year of experience as the track list comes in. It's the pro teams that are really struggling, and some of these rookies, just, I guess, a fresh set of eyes on a new meta, seems to be playing pretty well. Yeah,
and I think obviously speed is much more related to what we saw in Kartrider League, whereas the item mode is quite different here. So the skill set you haven't always honed throughout most of your career if you are a veteran. We are going to World Tour London Night, so you got the item priority, and you're going straight into London Night here. For Mushroom Caves and Polar Halfpipe here, Polar Halfpipe a tricky one. And those are the two ones, London Night and Polar Halfpipe. I feel like you have the most old school, like PS1, Preseason 1 style of play where you can finish things off with the last push, but it has been otherwise much more tempo-based. Finale with a incredible start in this series. We'll see if NUTMITE can turn it around starting here on World Tour London Night.
And we begin item mode here on London Night. Team NUTMITE fighting to stay alive and force an ace match. Finale looking to sweep this thing with item mode and pick up their first victory of the regular season.
Yeah, would be massive for them to do so. Again, chances basically zero that they are making their way into postseason with the start that they have had, but can at least make that ban prediction go true. Drawbridge is going to be a bit tough to clear here.
Yeah, the attacks coming through right on the drawbridge just takes so much momentum. It's really funny when the cards just don't have enough torque to actually get the way up, even with these heroic tiers and the extra gears that we have in this new patch. Now, as you were saying, well, London Night, one of these more old school maps in terms of play styles here, as it is a 2-star track, it's not a 3-star track, and if you're wondering why that matters in something like Pro Scene, if you haven't been following up with the latest patch, we have a couple of new items such as the Siren, the Radar, and the Big Banana, which we occasionally see here on the 3-star tracks, which mix it up a little bit. It makes it harder to build the perfect combination, and whether it be lightnings or angel shields, nitrous and magnets, to go for that kind of finish line focused play. We have a lot more tempo play because of that. Also with the heroic tiers, these cards are so much faster, but here on London Night, just the architecture of the map and how many items there are, oftentimes we still see teams going for this combination setup because it can be so good, and you see that right there on the screen.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody is trying to set up. Everyone has a nitrous. Everyone's looking for a magnet. We have
Angel
a lot of
stack.
Guardian shields.
Yeah, and I mean, this track is really about what you get on that third lap. You know, if you're lucky enough to pick up a magnet here while you're holding nitros, you can see everyone's slowly trying to make sure they can clear those items. If you have that nitro combo, then you absolutely can use it to win the race, especially with as thin of the margins as we see here. As DDING dropping behind is going to go for that supportive role. Angel Shield plus Lightning.
Yeah, Hong actually here for Finale does have that combination. He's the only racer with both a Magnet and a Nitrous, and he's hanging back a little bit right now because he wants to pop this Magnet at the right time. Now he has the Nitrous in the back. Oh, he gets blocked there by Wave. We'll see if that's enough. Wave blocking again. Hong barely able to get a first place. I mean, the blocks from Wave were almost enough that despite having an inferior item setup, NUTMITE almost still won that one. That was crazy out of Wave.
And they set Hong up for success when we saw the drop back there. The lightning came out, then the angel shield, so he knew he was going to be in range basically to finish. I mean, he was a few meters away where he was blocked during that nitro, but he still was able to maintain that speed just long enough. Look at the margin between him and Will, actually just 0.02 seconds there. The difference in terms of how fast he was able to, or how much faster he was able to cross the finish line. First place is all that matters in item mode though, and he was able to do that first. So very close, very competitive first track here, but as we were kind of alluding to, that is the way London Knights played, and that's how they're going to take the win.
Yeah, we probably won't have finishes quite like that one unless we get into some of these later tracks. You know, if we go to Polar Half Pipe and map 4, Half Pipe, excuse me. If we go to Half Pipe there and map number 4, then maybe we'll have another chance for this, but otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more tempo-based, I think, as we get ready to move on to Forest Mushroom Caves. And I'm wondering whether Finale is going to be able to close this one out with a clean sweep, man. Looking to get a victory here in item mode and seal the deal in this best of 3. Let's see if they can pick up another win here on Forest Mushroom Caves as item mode continues.
Off we go. Finale 3-0 in speed. They're 1-0 in item. After going 0-4 this season, maybe they'll actually finish today with a 6-0. All they need to do is win 2 more tracks, as this barrier's going to cause some issues early.
Yeah, and remember how we were talking about there is some possibility, some miraculous chance that if they play everything perfectly from here on out, they might qualify for that wild card spot. If you win 3-0 in speed and potentially 3-0 in item, that goes a long way towards being up not just your set differential, which is going to be +2, but the round differential, which is going to be +6.
Yeah, it is exactly, I mean, it's the best case scenario. It's exactly what's going to put you ahead of somebody who ties with you when we are looking for that wild card spot later on, if they can pull it off. Now, notice it's a huge lead here for Hong, who's got 2 shields. So the tempo-based style that State was talking about earlier is to often get someone ahead and then just have them try to stack double shields. He picked up double shield off of that item block there as well. He will lose first, but you can get a pretty huge lead and eat a lot of items to allow the rest of your team to look for one of those combos, look for a lightning, fish for those late-game items, you know, from the back of the pack. That's what Duzzi is looking for here. It's actually Scald, however, who does have that lightning in hand currently in our second lap.
Yeah, Finale is holding on to 1 Angel Shield in total. Ding is holding on to that right now, and it's going to be critical that he doesn't rotate that out at an inopportune time, given that Thunderbolt actually gets a second one, too. So Ding here in pole position for Team Finale with double Angel Shield is just going to be trying to basically absorb as much damage as he possibly can, take the aggro from Snoopy, eat these water wisps, if at all possible, and hope that Planty, Duzzi, and potentially Hong there in the rear ranks will be able to pick up some tempo, because Ding, he's kind of just, I don't want to say Trojan horse, but with double Angel Shield, he's not looking to finish this one.
Yeah, I mean, Snoopy has Magnet, but he doesn't even really have anyone to Magnet towards. Scald pushes ahead with Wave here, and I think that's going to do it. Not going to be the clean sweep. No 6-0 today for Finale. As NUTMITE finally get on the board here. And I think that Finale were really banking on that Lightning being a winning strategy and trying to push for a finish with it, but they just couldn't actually get control of the top of the pack in any way, shape, or form. They didn't have the right items. So, as you mentioned, you know, double Angel isn't going to how you're going to force your way to the finish line as the front runner.
Yeah, by the way, I just want to say I forgot because we haven't seen NUTMITE win yet today until now. But you know how like they have a little GIF set up where the players all do some kind of pose. I feel like every time I see NUTMITE doing this on the big screen, it's like they're assembling to be like a big, what is it, like Power Rangers or something?
Yeah,
like everything's going to come
Voltron.
together. Yeah. It's one of my favorite victory poses that we have here in the KDL. It's so much fun. Actually, I hope NUTMITE is able to force the ace match just so we get to maximize the amount of times we get to see that here today. But
And Snoopy will form the head.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he's the brains of the operation, right? He's the item ace. He's got to be the head.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But this is a huge turnaround, right? We're going to Mine Magma Cavern now, which is a similar type of track to the previous one. There are some timings you can run on this one at the end where you can kind of launch your way over onto the higher ground and finish that way. But otherwise, it is pretty similar. It's Mother Load, actually, I believe.
Yeah,
not
they baited you.
They baited me. They baited me in the lobby. So no, it's Mother Load. So again, like I was saying initially, more similar to the previous track we saw at Mushroom there. But we'll see if NUTMITE can take that momentum and win 2 in a row. They need to win item mode to force an ace match. And maybe that momentum shift will happen here.
NUTMITE 2-track wins away from forcing an ace match that I think everybody here would want to see as we get started on Mine Mother Load. And it's a 3-lap track. It's one of the longer ones that we have here in item mode. And I'm wondering how these 3-star items are going to play in. We already saw the first item pop right there with the Siren because, you know, 2-star tracks, even though if they aren't set up like London Knight or like Polar Halfpipe, they can still be tempo-based, but once you go into the 3-star tracks and it really becomes difficult to stack up items like Thunderbolts, like Nitrous and Magnets on just one racer because, you know, there's more items that you cycle through. It's the probability of you getting that kind of setup is way less. It needs to be more tempo-based, but so far, no one really able to pull ahead.
Yeah, Snoopy had a really nice banana placement there, forced out a shield. Is going to get got by that barricade, though.
He got
didn't see that. I didn't see that. I mean, that's a rare moment there where you've actually had the barricade so well spaced that like lands on top of a racer, essentially. That's what did happen. That's actually going to give Plansy the lead here, the item ace himself. He's holding a shield and a nitro. Not a whole lot of alarms or sirens rather going off here. Scald holding onto one right now. They're so useful in these choke points when everyone's stacked up, as you can see here. But it's, you know, that's often when you're sweeping for your player in the lead. Snoopy's in second at the moment, so it's helpful for Scald, but it isn't going to win you this race. You're still going to catch Plansy. That Wisp will do the trick.
Yeah, that Wisp is a good start here on lap number 2. Although the water bombs, I got to say, that's a pretty nice one coming through. So multiple players get caught. Siren once again here for Scald. He continues basically playing a sweeping role here. His teammate's going to try and give him a boost to get up that hill. Of course, if you receive an attack in a position like that one, it's tough to really recover on the uphill, but Snoopy with an EMP able to disable this UFO. He's still sitting pretty in first place and actually has a shield and an EMP again. Yeah. So this is kind of an ideal situation, but the Thunderbolt will come through.
I was going to mention that he only wants to fish for an EMP, and he gets it right as you're mentioning that. And he's got shield and EMP. EMP already blown here, but the shield is still up, and he's getting closer and closer to the finish line. Can't take this next shortcut here. Blocks that with the shield. And Plansy trying to close the gap here. 500 meters to go. No items in hand. I think Snoopy should be able to guess. Oh, he's barricaded! No way!
The barricade comes in. He does have double shield, but losing all that momentum right before this uphill section. We'll see if Finale with a boost is going to be able to get enough momentum, but no, Snoopy still barely powering through. Kind of a moment where your heart kind of sinks into your chest because of all the ways to lose an item mode. You don't want to lose to a barricade.
Yeah, I mean, barricades trolled him twice. And that last one there, I mean, that's a really small portion of the track. I mean, there's not much he can do to avoid it, unfortunately, but getting caught by that really hurts, and he is, thankfully, for his sake, able to finish in first place, and will bring them to item mode match point here, so they can continue that momentum. Maybe we'll go to an ace match, but was very close. Shouldn't have been. No, barricade's usually not the one that's going to get him. He's like, I got shields, I got EMP, I'm not worried about a barricade. But it almost stopped him right in his tracks.
Yeah, it's like watching an old Acme cartoon or something, you know, with like the Roadrunner trying to get away. It's like he's painting the tunnel and the mountain, and Stewie's just like, I'm gonna go through this one, but it's a barricade, and he gets gone. We'll see if NUTMITE is able to close this one out and force an ace match here as we move on to track number 4. It's gonna be one of those classic wombo combo maps here in item mode, Glacier Polar Halfpipe.
NUTMITE on speed, or rather item, excuse me, match point here to try to tie this series up. And barricades out again.
What is with these barricades today, man? I feel like we almost never see this, but it seems like at least one of these teams, or potentially both of these teams, have gotten so good at kind of visualizing where this space is going to be, where the barricades are going to pop, because if you know the maps well enough, you actually can kind of visualize it and try to preempt it and really get somebody if they're within your line of sight.
And honestly, this track too is one of the best ones for barricade because it's just constantly narrow. It's a half pipe, as its name suggests, and towards the end of the lap, we'll see, and you guys will be able to identify it with us, along with us. There's a high ground portion you can get to, and you can use the magnet to get up there, or you can magnet from there to actually win in, and it is right at the end of the track. So, you know, we get to the end of this lap, we'll try to point it out for you guys, but that is the kind of timing we were talking about. Will currently in first here, but Ding passes him, does hold 2 shields, going to eat a lot of aggro with that, and he just did.
Okay, here's a magnet. We'll see if he's able to... Oh, he's actually not going to try and get up onto the high ground here. This shortcut, as Wolf was pointing out, is in fact Will's going to take it. Although it's not... unless you have a really good item setup when you take it, it's not quite the game changer that you might think it would be in lap number 1 and lap number 2. In lap number 1, I was watching the minimap, but I think actually 2 different Finale players were able to get up on that shortcut, but they still lost a lot of tempo there. For a moment, Snoopy and Wave were ahead of everybody, but now we're entering track number 3, and this is when the items that are in the inventories really start to come into play. I see Plancy right now with a magnet and a nitrous. Hong as well on Team Finale with double nitrous. They certainly are looking to make use of that shortcut.
Yeah, they definitely are looking to do exactly that. With the Angel set up here for Duzzi as well, it's really difficult to pass. Will trying to sneak his way through here. Plancy holding onto that nitro. No attack items here as long as he times this well.
Oh, and he gets an EMP too, so that's not going to be able to block any. Oh, it blocks the UFO. It does not block the Water Wisp. Wave right now in first place. Plancy, I don't think he's going to be able to boost up. Actually, he gets enough speed somehow to be able to pass both Wave and Will there on the straightaway, and the arms go in the air as Finale is going to bring us to a track number 5 here in item mode. They are still, or they are now, I should say, 1 track win away from sealing this thing off after winning team speed.
It is a very close item race here, and I thought he was going to toss that Wisp out right away. He knew he had the speed. That's the confidence you've got as the item ace. You know what items you do and don't need. You know that boost is going to be enough, and that's, you know, there's 1 item box right before the finish there, and he's like, I live or I die. I'm boosting. Somebody hits me with something. That's the end of it, but I should otherwise have enough speed against everything they've already tossed out to finish. So we're going to a rare one here in San Francisco Seaplane Base, actually, for our final track. You know, one of the newer tracks here, 3-star, one that we don't see very often. It's going to be the one, though, that decides whether we're going to an ace match or if Finale is going to take this one 2-0. Very tense here as we move into the 5th track.
Here we go on the streets of San Francisco. NUTMITE, if they win this track, will be able to force an ace match and keep their hopes up, basically making the wild card alive here. Finale Esports, if they win this track, they're going to be able to avoid that ace match. They're going to pick up their first win of the regular season, and as they said in the introductions to the team match today, it's not over until it's over. They are still going to fight until the end, and certainly they're putting up a great fight so far, Wolf.
Yeah, Snoopy got hit by another barricade.
Oh, did he?
just a side comment there. Not too impactful just yet here in this first lap.
Well, let's just try to hone it on every time Snoopy gets barricaded. This cast.
I just watched it happen, and I was like, this guy just can't catch a break with these. Scald, nice shield timing here. Does grab an EMP, tosses it right away. We'll look for some bananas. Dropped 1 out there. The second one will be avoided here by Duzzi.
As we just continue on, that plane gonna push anyone too far back here as Finale Duzzi in first place for a moment. But Snoopy here on the outer line should be able to close the distance pretty quick. That water balloon actually very good. I love that water bomb coming in. Oh man, Ding's getting bullied right now. UFO picks him up right after that. I gotta say, sorry, go ahead, Wolf.
That's really cool because he actually went around that corner there, took the outer line as you mentioned, and then he knew exactly that. Oh,
I think it was Skull's big banana.
Yeah, get big banana.
Get big banana by your teammate, I'm pretty sure.
that water bomb was really well placed though over the wall there, and you know I don't want to harp on it too much as we're kind of beyond that now, but was really nicely done. Scald in first place here. Hong holding on to the boost. See what else he picks up here. Going to toss it out, grab a Wisp. We're still in the 2nd lap.
Yeah, going back to that water bomb, I think it's one of my favorite changes from the patch. We don't really get to appreciate it here in the observing client because we're watching everybody play, but if you're playing item mode yourself, you can now see on the mini-map on the right side of your screen when you're throwing that water bomb, where it's going to land. And these pros, even though they're very good, it's still hard to really eyeball those things. We saw in Preseason 1 and Preseason 2, there were only a couple of maps where we would often get one water bomb connect with multiple players in a high-impact moment. But ever since that patch, the water bombs have been so clutch throughout this entire regular season. It's one of my favorite changes.
Yeah, Scald wanted to not pop that shield, but he realized, at the end there, he's going to have to do it. It's kind of like knowing a smoke location in attack shooter or something like that at some point too as well. Like once you start memorizing it with the mini-map, you could really see.
Yeah.
Shield stacked here across the board at the front. Okay, DDING picks up a missile as well. Will shield that bomb. Not 100% sure he had to do that, but was just doing it just to be safe here. Now it's just a race here towards the end of this track. Shield stack magnets up for Hong. He has 2 of those. Wish he could give it to a teammate. He's going to pop one early.
Yeah, I'm actually really liking this for Hong, man. He's going to get slowed down. Actually, we have a Thunderbolt here for Duzzi. Are there Angel Shields on the side of NUTMITE? It seems like they do, in fact, have one.
Yeah, 2 now. Wave picked up another one.
All right, Hong getting UFO'd. Magnets getting set up here. Duzzi is probably hoping this Thunderbolt's going to get a lot done, but NUTMITE seems well prepared for it. We'll see if they're going to be able to force an ace match here, but that water bomb is absolutely huge, Wolf!
Yeah, that is massive. Now the Lightning Bolt trying to catch him on the jump, but they do make it across. Still losing a ton of momentum. Duzzi here trying to push a finish. Snoopy!
The UFO coming in, he spins out, but he still is able to cross the finish line, and we are going to go to an ace match with NUTMITE. And one of the more exciting finishes we've had here in item mode so far today.
That was a sick finish. That was so fun to watch.
Yeah, from the water bomb to the UFOs and then spinning out into the finish line.
And
just
the timing of the Lightning Bolt as well to try to catch them on that jump. I mean, almost got 3 on the jump. I mean, that if you actually all fall into the water there and have to reset, that's the end of the race. Like, the timing on that was so sick, but it didn't work. It didn't quite work. Was a little bit off there. But it was so close to actually perfection. They still lost momentum. They still saw Finale take the lead until Snoopy pushed through there in the end. And we're going to an ace match. As you mentioned, it is so important for both these teams because these teams are at the bottom of our standings right now. Neither team is going to get a ton of set points from this. Obviously, you're just going to get the +1 from the victory, the 1 extra track you win. But you need that win, period. And you do not want to be going 0-5 or 1-4. One of these teams is really going to be feeling the hurt after this single ace match.
Yeah, the top 5 already here in the standings is very stacked in the KDL. In fact, Liv Sandbox had arguably, I mean, it's not even arguable, it's an undeniable fact. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. Liv Sandbox had the highest strength of schedule coming into this one by a lot. And as a result, right now, that's the team that you're trying to pass in 5th place to secure a wild card spot. So just to kind of put into perspective exactly what these teams, NUTMITE right now in position number 6, Finale Esports, of course, the only winless team here overall in the standings of the KDL. That's the kind of hurdle, the uphill battle that you're fighting against.
Yeah.
To try and make it into the top 5. So really there is no room for error if you want to keep your hopes alive for either of these teams. NUTMITE, even though they're 1-3 right now, if they are able to win every single set from this one out, which obviously easier said than done, they can still make it to the postseason. There is a good chance for them. But if they drop this and they fall to 1-4 and tie with Finale Esports,
my money would be on Scald coming out for NUTMITE, but it almost looked like Wave was setting up here. We are going to, by the way, we didn't see this track in speed mode, but we're going to Terracotta Twister for the ace match. You love to see it.
Yeah.
We'll see who comes out. It's got to be DDING for Finale, right? The big fan favorite, the one who's favored in solos as well by most analysts. He's the best racer. I think we're probably going to have his current form is insane, even though his team doesn't have that much success. We'll see who gets pulled out against him. Oh, it's going to be Will, actually, in fact, here for NUTMITE. I would have thought they would have gone for Scald. You were mentioning Will, kind of the new hero for this team. Scald a little bit more experienced, but they're going to give him a chance here up against DDING, a veteran. And it all comes down to this.
Oh, man, I would love to hear that conversation that just happened with Will and one of the players on his team, as it seemed like there was a lot of information or maybe just a pep talk that was coming in as Will, one of the younger players here in the KDL, is going to be up against the ropes in a must-win track if Finale wants to pick up their first win of the season. It's going to come down to DDING. If NUTMITE wants to keep their playoff hopes alive, it's going to come down to Will. Let's go to the ace match here on World Tour Terracotta Twister.
Terracotta Twister will be the battleground for this ace match. Ding versus Will, Finale versus NUTMITE.
And looking at the heart rates right now, you could see how experienced Ding is in this situation. He's at 81 beats per minute. I'm pretty sure us casting this have a higher heart rate than Ding. Will is at 163. This is such a high pressure moment for this kid. His team, their hopes were to go making it to the postseason. Even though we're only about halfway through, they're all on his shoulders.
He's taking a great tight line there on the inner there. Went across and then went to inner and actually got a huge amount of distance here. Now Ding going to try to match those tight lines. We know he can. But Will having that extra advantage here. Man, he's taking some really tight inners here. He's playing with fire. Ding trying to catch up. He is in drafting range, of course.
Yeah, Will also seems to be, at least for a moment there, he was about a tempo ahead on the Nitrous. Now it is equalizing in Ding. Of course, Terracotta Twister being a 2-lapper will have a lot of time to close the distance, but being a fourth of a second behind Will, who is taking, as you said, these really aggressive lines and not missing a beat, it's a very scary position for the Finale veteran.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost perfect pace here that Will is taking. He is basically on track for a record here right now. Ding gonna have to use that extra drafting here to try to catch up on Nitros. He's got a chance here to pass.
Yeah, as he drafts, he's getting closer and closer. Both players with a full boost gauge right now as we enter the tomb section. Ding's gonna make his play. Oh, Will actually with a collision, but Ding as well right there on that wall. And look at the gap that has just been created. Ding lost so much more momentum than Will, and I don't know if he's going to be able to make up that ground.
I don't think so. Will's got a whole boost advantage over him as well. 500 meters to go, and I think he's very well aware of it. It's going to take a big mistake here from Will for Ding to catch him, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, Ding was shaking his head. Will, as soon as he crosses the finish line, that headset was coming off, and you could see what a big moment it is here for Team NUTMITE and for Finale. They were looking so strong to start off this map. They swept speed mode. I believe they were up, what, 1-0 or 2-0 in item mode as well. It was really close. I think they had won the first 4 tracks of this match, and it was looking like they were going to pick up their first team win so far here in the regular season, but instead NUTMITE coming through with one of the most incredible finishes I think we've seen in Terracotta Twister, really up until that tomb section, the collisions. It was flawless from Will. That was basically a record pace.
Yeah, it was so clean from Will, and he did make that one error, but it was at the same time that Ding was trying to make his move. And actually, ironically, weirdly enough, I feel like that one mistake actually messed up what Ding was trying to do as well, and then Ding just also faltered in that moment, and Will ends up taking it in the end. His team is so proud of him. So it'll be a 3-2 win here for NUTMITE. You know, we expected NUTMITE to win this one, you and I, going into this, just because of their previous records, how I think they've improved a lot in their last few matches. But you can't deny that Finale definitely is the more veteran team. They crushed in speed, and it was a tight item mode, but it's a big upset win here. Now, it's still, you need to get 5th place to get that wild card spot. And we might, NUTMITE, they might go to wild card, right? And they need to get 5th. They're now tied with several other teams in terms of the 2 wins. Finale only has 2 races left, and I think mathematically, don't quote me on this, but I think mathematically they're out because one of these other teams will win at least one more time, and so Finale just won't be able to get that 5th place spot anymore. So a crushing loss for one of our big fan favorites here.
Yeah, Finale Esports, I mean, this is basically the old Rock squad. They've been reeling since the retirement of Jong, who in KDL Preseason 1 and in Preseason 2 was, in my opinion, one of the most exciting players to watch. I mean, we're talking about a mobile game ace coming to the PC version of Kart Rider Drift, and he won in one preseason, it was like 5 or 6 ace matches in a row. He carried the team on his back, and then he retires. Finale picks up the old Rocks roster, and they haven't really been able to put it together since then. So it's sad, but this is kind of a necessary adjustment period for this team, I think, as they try to find, the missing piece to the puzzle, really.
Yeah. Will, I think, very nervous. Obviously, you saw his heart rate there, but they trusted him. He didn't choke. We see a lot of chokes in ace matches, where players make a huge mistake and end up losing everything. So it's insane for a player this young to have the team has this much trust in him, especially when you consider who else is on the roster. I thought it'd be Scald for sure, but it ends up being Will. And if he's doing this well, if he's this confident this early in his career, What's he going to look like in 2-3 years is the real question everybody's probably wondering right now.
I mean, Will is born in like what, 2008?
Yeah.
I think, which is, I mean, I feel ancient. That's 16 years younger than me.
I mean,
So,
some
like,
players have been playing.
Oh my God.
Some of these players have been playing like professional kart riders since like before he was born.
Yeah, I'm sure HoJun is pretty close to it. If
HoJun,
not,
I
not
just-
like the OG.
The
It's
producer just confirmed HoJun debuted in 2006. So he started playing kart rider professionally 2 years before Will was born. Just to contextualize that for everyone at home.
wow. Yeah. It's rare that we get notes from the PD like this, but I mean, for Will coming in, it's just such a tremendous moment for his career, and he shows so much potential. And the team being able to put all this confidence on this kind of rookie star that is up and coming is so exciting.
But up next, we are going to have Desperado taking on big favorites in MIRAEN SEJONG, the name that is sometimes hard to say. So we're going to take a short break, everybody. When we come back, we'll have that second match.
You sure deserve a medal. Keep pushing forward, never settle. Never settle. Keep it 100, yeah. On your way to the next level. Next level. And while you're grinding, making dreams come true, sometimes you gotta let your body loose. Time to party, but those ends moves to good use.
to be HoJun. So it's going to be the OG Emperor himself trying to defend the throne here for MIRAEN SEJONG.
Here, but Luning, he's still within the range to draft, so he's applying that pressure back onto HoJun.
Yeah, and HoJun's just trying to play the stop game, but eventually, yeah, he's gonna find that to try to make sure he catches up to HoJun. He stops him, gets his own second boost right on time, is able to keep the lead, now neck and neck again, but HoJun, oh, this
Boost gauge difference, he's leading right now in front of Luning.
And Luning, does he play aggressively around the 90 degrees? No, he can't make, doesn't have a shot. Luning will have one more opportunity if he's able to get the draft once they land here from the jump, but HoJun's trying to line himself up, make sure he can block anything, and another nice sweep from HoJun to make sure the outside turn does not come in from Luning. What a read, such awareness from the veteran himself, the king.
The ace match against Sungnam Rocks, and although they suffered a setback,
Tried to just get into the lead, and now he has it.
and he has also the better line right now. I was gonna say until Striker came in with a very aggressive.
After range as they get onto this ridge. So Ding, it's now up to you. Do you decide to try to block as you are right now? Do you give it up? Go for your own draft towards the ending. Striker with what a block on
matchup, but he does have a better maintenance on his boost gauge, and he has the draft range as well.
Yeah, he's got full boost right now. Striker knows this. He knows he has to just play for the blocks. Both of them going on the sidewalk. Ding, can he go for the aggressive play? No, he spins out a little too far. Striker is able to just absolutely cut the corner to perfection. Meanwhile, Ding, he tries to go for the straight boost.
Come through as they try to hold on to this lead.
Yeah, but we saw what HyunSu was able to do on that previous round. But look at Hero, he finds that opening as they come out.
On slowing down Jimin a little bit, not really focused on getting 1-2 himself. Just trying to set up for HoJun, another player that could be a speed ace on many teams as Hero continues.
Seemingly deciding that they're going to be the 1-2 punch. So it's up to HyunSu now for the blocks. Hero, he's constantly looking for a good opportunity. Look at that. He not only threads the needle himself, tried to block out HyunSu. It doesn't pay off in the end, but a great attempt again from Hero. He's trying to buy so much time, but HoJun and Guard, they're still further behind.
I mean, Hero's just doing an incredible job. There's been a 1v2 or 1v3, and he's just able to find the inner line and evade the body fight, just threading the needle, as you said, and trying to buy time. And now HoJun is getting closer, so right now it's looking like a Live Sandbox victory, but if MIRAEN SEJONG could come out with some heroics here as we enter the final stretch. Hero now in first place, 500 meters left to go. Live Sandbox, they're falling behind. They're going for the build. Up here on the curb, Hero still in first place, but Live Sandbox, they do not have enough points on the board. It's going to be a 1-4-5-6 for MSJ as they take speed mode 3-1 over Live Sandbox.
Hero, absolutely.
Place we see him drive off the track is now it's gonna be HoJun with double shields in first, and Hero
Might come down to a speed race at the very end of the third lap.
does kind of feel that way. Oh, I love this siren from Guard, actually getting
as well. EMP on Guard. The defenses are there for MIRAEN SEJONG.
oh, but the water balloon comes through. Two of the MIRAEN SEJONG players get caught as we have 300 meters left to go. It's gonna be double shield right now on Hero. Jimin gonna make a play right there with the match, but he gets caught by a water wisp. HyunSu, no, he doesn't! He doesn't! I thought he had it! And instead, MIRAEN SEJONG just absolutely pumped.
Korea. Then he said, yeah, I'm gonna just sit this one out. And then now he comes back. He's still in contention for this entire race. Still gonna have to take as we go through these curves.
And Guard right now in first place, does fall in a second. It's actually not your nitrous gauge anymore. Everyone's gonna go on the left side build here. Will now in first place, Guard right behind him.
Yeah, Will just trying to deviate from the pack a bit earlier to make sure he doesn't get bumped down. That allows him to keep the inner line. He's trying to stay just 1 inch ahead, but Cole out of nowhere from 7th place all the way. Poses in store. That's his pose, but it just works so well for this very first track.
You gonna see through his mind's eye what was gonna happen. He's like, yeah.
mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off in my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Welcome back to the KDL 2023. I'm Wolf still. I'm still with State. And we're moving straight into our second series of the evening. Desperado coming out first here. I'd say big underdogs going into this series. But, you know, going into today, I thought this one would likely be our more competitive of the two. Our first one went the distance on item and went the distance to the ace match. So who knows how deep this one's going to go.
I gotta say, man, Desperado has been, so far here in the regular season, my favorite team to watch. Not because I think they're racing better than everybody else or they have some really crazy tricks up their sleeve, but Ghost as a runner is actually so good individually in terms of skill. He is so talented in speed mode, and Desperado have such an interesting meta that they're playing right now where they're not winning in speed. I think they've only won once so far this entire season in terms of sets, excuse me. But they are undefeated in item because Banana, their ace, has been so clutch. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Rox Esports from KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2. But here they're going up against some Titans, MIRAEN, SEJONG, which I believe is like the future, and also SEJONG's like the past. SEJONG, one of the most legendary kings of Korea.
It's such an interesting team, too, because it's one of the first super teams in kart rider history. You know, DF Blade was considered a super team at the end. Obviously, Live Sandbox and formerly Sandbox Gaming became a super team because of their reputation, but they weren't built as one. But this team is just the best free agents you could put on a roster, basically. And so, as a result, it's arguably next to Kwangdong and Live Sandbox the most popular team. And if they win this season, our first KDL season, there's a chance they become the most popular team. Desperado, I think, is on the opposite end of things. It's a bunch of players you kind of know. They have some experience. Not all of them are veterans, but they're players you kind of want to root for. We had Ghost, obviously, on a tough team last year. Had that ace match win, the super controversial one against Kwangdong Freaks. Banana, everybody loves Banana. Okay, Free Sky coming in as well. You know this team is one that people want to cheer for.
Wow, and they are looking to be in the top 3 with a victory here. Desperado right now sitting right behind MIRAEN and SEJONG. If you're wondering, MIRAEN and SEJONG in that rank 3 spot, Desperado down in 4th. As it's really just the round differential that's proving to be the difference between these two teams. And Desperado, if they're able to take down MIRAEN and SEJONG, I feel like MIRAEN and SEJONG is almost guaranteed to win in speed because they are so stacked in that way. But the fact that Desperado behind the leadership of Banana has been so good in item mode makes me think that we are almost guaranteed to see an ace match. I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but you wanted to talk about this quote, right?
The quote that they have here at the top left is a huge meme in Korea right now, and it's a lot of controversy. I'm not going to get deep into what it means, but it's a very huge meme. I like that they're going into it, but they're saying that they got hero, so it's going to be a win. Let's go home ASAP. Karte, the term there that they use, is basically getting off work as fast as possible, and that's what they're looking to do tonight. I think they're coming into this match very favored and also very confident, as they should be.
Yeah, they're all smiles right now on stage, but you do not want to underestimate Team Desperado. You might be favored against them here in speed mode, but once it comes into item mode, Banana has that galaxy brain, the big banana brain, and he's been able to lead Desperado to victory after victory. As we look at the speed track list,
SEJONG having speed priority here. Going to Handy Harbor. That is a rare track, very often banned, and they're starting on it. So throwing a curveball, even though they're the favorites here. Miami Drive, speaking of curveballs, will be the second track. Then we go to Glacier Extreme Stadium, more classic. Mexico Touring Rally, obviously a newer track, but a one-lapper. And then Terracotta Twister is our final track. We're just not seeing a whole lot of Terracotta Twister. Guess we got to go to Ace Matches for that one.
Yeah, I'm a little bit sad about that, man. Terracotta Twister has always been one of my favorite speed tracks, especially in team mode speeds as opposed to solo mode speed. But instead, we're going to be going to Village Handy Harbor to kick off this series between MIRAEN SEJONG and Team Desperado. And off we go on the Handy Harbor. MIRAEN SEJONG, big favorites to win here over Team Desperado and Team Speed, as Wolf was saying, leading into this one. Kind of a super team, but looking at the start that Desperado has with Promise and Striker so close to pole position. This is a great start.
Now this track, things can change very quickly because it is what I like to call Hairpin Harbor, because it's basically just hairpin turns the entire time.
That's good.
And, HoJun,
no!
that is not what you want. That is not what you want. Bit of a mistake there. It's a tight space, but just going straight into the wall, that's going to cost him a ton of time.
What?
All right, what is going on?
I feel like we're watching.
I said it was going to be high level, Stain. I said this one was going to be high level.
I feel like we're watching like Promise, like playing like a gamepad or something, and the controller just got disconnected for a moment there as he turned into the wall.
I mean, if we saw a pause, I would not be shocked. But I mean, I don't think that's what's actually going on. But that was so bizarre that it almost felt like that's something disconnected there. Striker holding first place right now, but they are outnumbered here. So we are going to have to see Ghost really move through these middle ranks here if we're going to see a win for Desperado.
Oh my
I caster
goodness.
cursed him.
Yeah, this
Looks doomed now.
All right, well, MIRAEN SEJONG looking pretty good here in lap number 3, I have to say. They have almost the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is only Striker is able to hold a candle, but this one is
1, 2, 3, 4 possible.
I mean, I would love to hype this up, fellas, but you gotta you gotta know when to call it there.
I mean, even with HoJun making that mistake, he still ends up finishing top 3 here. Now, you could see why this track is banned so often, because it is basically taking the difficulty level of taking the best lines possible in a pro match with 8 racers and turning it to 11, because it is non-stop hairpin. There are shortcuts within the hairpin. It's an extremely difficult track. We saw a lot of errors there, more than you normally see between levels, the level of play we have with these top KDL teams there, but you know, more mistakes made for Desperado, and good recovery from HoJun. It ends up being a stomp here in this first track.
Yeah, I wonder actually if this is part of a strategy here for Team MIRAEN SEJONG coming in, is to pick this map that plays very differently from other tracks that we have here in KDL Team Speed mode, and that you're almost pretty much guaranteed to run into some errors like that, because for Team Desperado, losing in that fashion, even though MIRAEN SEJONG did make some mistakes as we saw HoJun get clipped on the wall, it is not a confidence booster. In fact, the wind is completely out of the sails. If Desperado was a sailing ship, man, they would need to get towed back to the harbor, but instead we're going to go to World Tour Miami Drive. We'll see if they can regain their confidence and come back.
MSJ leading 1-0 here as we move into Miami Drive. This track very unique. We talked about it a lot already here in KDL 2023, in that you've got to take these boosters to get the maximum amount of speed, but sometimes you want to avoid taking one to make sure you can still get the most efficient build of your drift. And also, if you go too fast, obviously it takes taking some turns quite difficult. But so far, everyone taking the standard lines here. Nock and HoJun occupying first and second.
Yeah, Nock doing a really good job here, and HoJun just kind of zoning everybody out, but he's got his work cut out for him. Desperado has about as strong a midfield as you could possibly imagine, with Striker, Ghost, Promise, and Free Sky, at least for a moment, all in the top 6. As Guard and Hero were lagging behind for Team MSJ, hopefully focusing on boost gauge, because right now it seems like 1-2 is really the only win condition that MIRAEN SEJONG has.
All right, Nock and HoJun struggling to hold on to these positions. HoJun taking a really tight line there and will actually lose control. Ghost passes him. So right now, Desperado in the lead here currently. They have that 2-3-4 win condition. Someone is going to have to crack this midfield you were talking about, as Nock won't last forever 1v3 up here.
Yeah, and for Promise right now in position number 8, although he's not on screen, I imagine that he is just taking the most engage efficient lines as possible to get that blue boost up here for his teammates as quickly as possible. Of course, that team gauge so important. As Desperado is looking to try and get the high place 1-2 finish here against MIRAEN and SEJONG. Now, Nock is still in first place, but Ghost on that inner line should be able to pass him. Free Sky as well, very close. And now HoJun actually able to draft in, and he has double blue boost.
Okay, they got 1-2 in the blue boost, as you mentioned here. This is going to be so close here. Right now, HoJun on the heels of Free Sky. They're actually trying to take his speed down. Ghost cutting through, however. This is going to be so close, 500 meters to go.
Yeah, Ghost works his way back into first place. Desperado is barely ahead right now, unless HoJun or Nock can work their way into first, and Nock barely with the inner line gets first place. I can't believe it. They get the 1-4-5, a 1-point difference. And if Nock wasn't able to take that line and basically cut off the opposition and cross the finish line, like, I mean, that was like, what, a 10th or a 100th of a second faster.
That was one of the closest speed races I have ever seen.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was insane indeed. And the 1-4-5 is also such a rare win condition. You almost never see this because it's usually a domination you have that leads to, you know, something like a 2-3-4, or you have that 1-2. But in this case, they actually just had exactly enough points and did not have control of the pack. It was Nock who was able to just barely push his way through, outnumbered, to set it up. And if you're Desperado, you're really hurting after this loss because you had so much control.
Yeah, I feel, although Desperado looked a lot better in track number 2 than in track number 1, the fact that they weren't able to convert such a strong midfield into a win condition has me very concerned for their chances here as we get ready to go into track number 3. It's going to be one of the more technical tracks. Glacier Extreme Stadium. Are MIRAEN and SEJONG going to sweep this thing? Once again, we go to the ice map here. MSJ just one track went away from sweeping in speed mode, and although I think most fans were expecting a result like this, like a 3-0 or 3-1 win for MIRAEN and SEJONG, it's been pretty close in track number 2, and you know, right now for them, Guard and Nock off to a very good start. Promise and Free Sky are trying their best to break up into the mid ranks, but for Desperado, having your best runners, Striker and Ghost, in the bottom positions, it's a very concerning beginning for them.
It definitely is, especially the gap that Ghost has, because Ghost needs to be challenging up tier players like Nock, players like Guard when we get to these hairpins. Now he'll still have an opportunity if he can recover here. You can see he's caught up quite nicely because he doesn't have anyone to deal with when he's taking these inners, but Nock and Guard now battling Free Sky and Promise here. Good inner line there, but still Promise needs to break through. He will actually just barely get past those two MIRAEN and SEJONG players and maintain that spot. And right now, it's a very close race still here. I think it's all going to come down to that final hairpin, as Ghost has actually moved all the way up to 5th place now. Good recovery.
I think you're absolutely right about that. I'm just focused in on this next hairpin as Nock and Free Sky continue to battle for first place. Guard tried his best to do some sweeping. Guard is historically one of the best sweepers that we have here in KDL when he decides to play that role, but so far Free Sky and Striker have been able to work their way past him, and actually Free Sky winning the body fight there against Nock. He's in first place.
Promise falling behind, though. He and Ghost are battling with Guard right now. That's actually really huge for the points, actually the final back standings here, as here comes that hairpin. Let's see if Nock can actually steal that first place away from Free Sky. Wow. Free Sky, great turns there, is now blocking him against the wall. Nock, not a lot of opportunities. He's going to have to use that blue nitro if he wants to get past.
Yeah, Nock, if he gets the first place position here, I think it's a guaranteed win for MSJ, but still they have enough points at the board that even though he wasn't able to get first rank, the 2-3-5-6 coming through, and it's going to be a sweep here for the favorites in speed mode. But I mean, we were talking about this from the very beginning, Wolf. If Desperado is going to win, their win condition is not here in team speed. It is very hard to go up against a team with an all-star caliber lineup like MIRAEN and SEJONG in team speed mode. And now we're going to have the item aces swapping in. And once once Banana gets on the board here for Team Desperado, I feel like really anything can happen, because as it is right now, I have the stat sheet in front of me, we have only one team with a greater than 60% win rate in rounds in item mode, and it's Desperado, and they're almost at 70%. It's 69.2.
Yeah, and I mean, MSJ sitting at sub 60. Now, again, difference in strength of schedule and all that, this is something we have to consider, but consider this more than anything else. MSJ does not have a dedicated item ace. They're
Yeah.
a 4-man roster. They've made the super team, right? And I guess that didn't allow for one more player to be on this roster. They wanted this squad only. And your ability to speed race obviously is going to take you some of the distance in item mode, right? Your actual driving ability. But item mode, having that item ace and a strong shot caller can be really a decisive way to get an edge over some of these stronger teams. That's why a lot of the weaker teams, when they win coin toss, do prioritize item, as Desperado has here. We're going to Forest Misty Falls first. Again, a lot of rare tracks tonight. You know, it's not like this one is one we never see, but it is definitely rarer than ones that are banned away, like Mine Motherlode and Magma Cavern here. So Desperado taking away both mine tracks here. Graveyard Cemetery Circuit can be quite wild. And then we have Cogwheel Crush and Lunlight. So the latter half of this set of tracks is going to be pretty interesting. We might see some of those timings we were talking about in the previous set.
Yeah, we just might. Coming in, I really am surprised that we're seeing Misty Falls here as track number 1, as you said, especially here in the regular season. One of the rarer picks, but maybe Desperado has some tricks up their sleeves. Let's see what Banana has in store for us as we get ready to kick off item mode between these two squads.
Off we go. Love to see the balloons. Some Halloween themed, some not so much.
sorry to start giggling there, but
Okay.
I saw the fire engine cart that one of these racers is rolling. I didn't see who it was, but somebody's rolling with a fire engine and right off the finish line. I'm like, man, he already has a siren set up. He's gonna start sweeping from the very beginning. As we get started here,
It's a 2-star track, State.
Yeah,
it's a 2-star track.
That's why he
He's
picked the fire
smuggling it
truck.
in.
He can
He's
smuggle
smuggling
it
it
in. We're gonna have the admins have to rule against him on this one. Sorry, my mind wanders
all right.
sometimes here in item mode.
It's all right. So just to contextualize this for everyone who's tuning in late, MIRAEN and SEJONG did win Speed 3-0. Desperado, though, the stronger item team on paper, and they have chosen this track of Misty Falls, which is quite a rare one. Doesn't have a lot of architecture that affects the race. It's a wider track, but not as wide as like Shark's Wake, for example. It's really just a tempo-based, spam those items, get ahead, and try to then finish on that third lap with some strategy.
Yeah, and for Team Desperado, I think one of the key parts of their success, which I'm not sure we actually had these stats come on screen leading into this match, is how rapidly they like to cycle through items. I think Team Desperado, more than any other team, will do exactly what Striker did and just guarantee that when they're going through sections like this, they're not picking up one item, they're picking up two.
Yeah,
And even if it's a low priority thing, like say you just got like an extra rocket or a shield or something, you just cycle it through because, you know, the more rolls you get, the better your odds of getting the like whatever the best loot it is on the track. You know, whether you're playing for a wombo combo setup in the end or whether you want to get a bunch of thunderbolts, whatever it is, Desperado, they are rolling the dice more than anybody else, and it's been a winning formula. But here in lap number 3, that water balloon to a free sky, a very good start. He does have one more in the bag, but the lead here for Knock and Guard, it's starting to grow pretty substantially.
If you only have one person this far ahead, it can sometimes backfire, but when you have two ahead like this, it's pretty massive. He's got an EMP now as well, so there's no UFO to stop him, shield to block this. He doesn't care. That's an easy win, so far ahead. And yeah, you cycle through a lot of items, but you didn't come up with anything that can get those top two front runners that are just so far ahead of the pack. And it's a 1-2-3 finish as well. And two of MIRAEN and SEJONG's players, Knock and Guard, were massively ahead. When you look at the times that are about to show up here in just a second, you're going to see just how wide that gap really was.
And I'm actually wondering what really went wrong there for Team Desperado after having picked Misty Falls as their first track, because it seemed like they didn't really have the best game plan. And you see right there, pretty much everybody on the team had 20+ items, but they really weren't able to manifest anything with that. Now, I'm still not very concerned for Team Desperado. I think they have a very good shot of bringing this one back from a 1-0 deficit in this best-of-5 in item mode, but it's going to have to be a little bit better than that. Letting one player run away with it, that oftentimes will happen at least once in a best-of-5 if you play 4 or 5 tracks, but having two, it's a little bit concerning, Wolf, so we'll see if Desperado can keep up the same storyline they have all season with their success in item mode, and see if they can fight back here on track number 2, Forest Mushroom Caves. Another 2-star difficulty track here in item mode as we get started. MIRAEN and SEJONG with a nice victory there in the opening track. I mean, just able to play to the tempo advantage so well with 2 racers, something we really don't see that often. Oh my god!
Big bomb. Hit some of his teammates, but he wanted to grab 2 extra items there, so just tossed it out. Pretty high value, but unfortunately for him, not able to catch the front runner, so Promise has a decent lead. And, you know, on tracks like this and the last one, it's a lot of items just being tossed out in the first few laps. In this case, it's only 2, so first lap. But it's the playstyle you were talking about for Desperado. They like to use their items immediately. They want to play these types of tracks where they can just constantly cycle. Didn't work out for them the last time. So far, working out a lot better this time around.
Yeah, if you want to play the kind of roulette game that is item mode and do it well, you got to give yourself as many chances as possible, and that means getting all of the items you possibly can. As Promise, I think, in total on this team leads the charge. He's getting more than 20 items per track, which is absolutely insane. And Banana's right up there with him, 2nd place overall in item pickup. And as a result, for Team Desperado this time, they've been able to come through with a lot of attacks. They've slowed down the machine of MIRAEN and SEJONG, who has not been able to get any tempo advantage. And despite the fact that they are very high in the ranks, which you might think they spent a lot of items, so their inventories are going to be barren. No, Striker right now, he is double nitrous.
Yeah.
And he's consistently in top 4.
Now, he's the one who's going to have to make that run here in this final lap. He's really avoided a lot of aggro here by staying behind MIRAEN and SEJONG's players, because if you're in front of them, you're going to get hit. But if you stay behind and hold those nitros and you stay close with them, that's where you can hit that timing. Here comes the first one. 400 meters to go. Going to see if he can grab a shield. He got one. Drops the second nitro, but he's getting magneted.
Yeah, that magnet actually is going to be huge! Guardy!
Oh my god, he actually did it.
I thought, when they crossed the finish line, I actually thought that Desperado picked up that win, but
Shield not going to cut it against the
goodness.
magnet. I mean, that was a really nice timing there for Striker. I mean, the whole race came down to, for Striker, I've got 2 nitros. I hope I pick up a shield. I can block anyone who hits me. Toss the second nitro out pretty quickly there so that he could build the distance he needed, block at least 1 item, and then cross the finish line. And it looks golden.
Look how close that is.
0.07. And
wow.
Unfortunately for him, the magnet was just too strong. Guard hits it at the last possible second, and we've been seeing so many close races here in item mode.
Yeah. Not 0.07, by the way. 0.007.
Yeah.
That's like, is that like 1 game tick? I actually don't know. That's insane. I was so convinced that Desperado with a double nitro setup right there.
It's like a 4th of a hummingbird's wing flap. Like,
Is that the metric? Americans really will use anything other than the metric system, man.
1/4 of a hummingbird's wing flap, you know?
It's the thousandths of the lifespan of the average housefly. What is that in plank lengths? Can you tell me, please? Can you tell me, please, Wolf?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the speed-oriented things, but
How much does the uranium atom decay in the span of 0.007 seconds? Is it going to shed a neutrino? Who knows? Who knows, man? All right, well, MIRAEN and SEJONG up 2-0 and kind of an unexpected result so far here in item mode. Will Team Desperado be able to bring it back, or are the favorites going to close this one out with a 3-0 win on Graveyard Cemetery Circuit? God. I mean, when we go into like these incredibly deep time windows, like 0.007 seconds, it's basically no time at all. And so it's insane to me that Desperado, despite having that setup, by the way, I think there was like 14 different gears put into boost for that racer as well, which is massive here. Even though we have the heroic tiers, because I think you only get like 22 or 24 in total, it's just insane that the magnet was so clutch. They were able to close it out in a moment like that one. Very exciting.
It was the James Bond magnet, 0.007. Secret Agent Guard.
so
007. All right,
yeah,
he's got a new global nickname now.
Oh, 007.
He's in first place right now. He's leading the charge. This is, by the way, a 3-star track, so we will have some of those extra items here. He does have, he keeps picking up the scope, which can be useful, but it is arguably one of the least impactful items in pro play. It depends on when you get it. If you get it at the end, it can be huge, but
By the scope, you mean the radar? The radar? I
always call it a scope for some reason, but it's a radar. The scanner.
Yeah, I imagine you have to like zoom in through a telescope to see which items they have floating above their head or something. But yeah,
it's a radar.
I feel like it's very rare actually getting the radar. I don't know if it's because people just cycle it out immediately to try and get something that's going to be more impactful than information. As you pointed out, it's not very useful in track number 1 or track number 2, but I feel like the proc gen on the radar is so low, in fact, on these 3-star tracks.
Yeah, I've only seen it a few times, actually. It's very rare, and, you know, oftentimes the shot calling is generally so good on the team, and you can generally expect what types of items are going to be there the first few laps. But we're getting to the final one now. Banana is going to get caught here and passed, and ooh, that's not what you want to see, falling into the pit there. And look at the setup here for MSJ. Promise has an EMP. That is not going to win you this race. You're going to need something stronger than that. Magnet setup here for HoJun as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at HoJun right now with that Magnet and the Nitrous, and he's in a prime position here in 3rd rank.
Ooh, denied an item? Oh, not nearly.
It doesn't matter, though. He has the Magnet and the Nitrous, and he's just actually going to go off of Hero, and then he's Nitrousing, but he gets body blocked a little bit there. Striker's going to come through with a boost as a result. And in fact, it will be HoJun coming in on the outside as MIRAEN SEJONG, much to my surprise, is going to sweep item mode against the the only team that has been undefeated in item mode so far here in sets.
And they're gonna turn that 100 to a 50, unfortunately, making it. They were 3-0, they're 3-3 now, so that reputation definitely going to change. But yeah, State. I mean, the combo they had, the lead that they had. You know, for a moment I got tripped up. I thought HoJun, because we swapped carts there, I thought HoJun had used the Magnet early and that I was wrong about him having it. But no, he had it there and he just crushed it at the end. And I mean, this looks like a pretty big improvement too for MSJ in terms of what we've seen from them in items in the past. And we mentioned earlier they don't have an item ace and yet still dominated a team known for item play. And it's back to the drawing board, I think, a little bit here for Desperado because they had a pretty good strategy. You know, not feeling too good about this one. Banana, the item ace.
Yeah. I mean, track number 2,
that was
0.007 seconds. That's a really rough one, and it just felt like nothing really went their way. But for Team Desperado, this is absolutely not the end of the road. They're going to fall, I believe, behind Live Sandbox into 5th place, but that's still in playoff contention, and they've been looking really good, even though they got completely, they got hosed today by MIRAEN SEJONG. 3-0 in speed and 3-0 in item, but I'm liking Desperado's chances, man. I like them as kind of a dark horse here in the KDL regular season. It's been a lot of fun watching them play. But MIRAEN SEJONG really living up to expectations, and you know, we keep talking about them not having an item ace, but also, Wolf, you got to think about this. If they end up winning this thing, you only got to split the prize 4 ways, not 5.
True.
That's some value for a team like this one.
This team reminds me in terms of just how good they are and how clean they are at everything they do. A lot of people associate top teams only with Kwangdong, only with Live Sandbox. It kind of reminds me of Aura when they were making their kind of deep run.
Right.
Where you look at it and you go, okay, this team is a super team. They're big fan favorites, but do you expect them to win the whole tournament? Probably not yet. You know, I'm still leaning towards Kwangdong. They're 4-0 so far this tournament. But the more I watch them, the more I think, well, maybe they're the team to break that streak. Maybe they're going to be the team to break the preseason streak and actually be a new face in the finals here in our 2023 KDL. They just might do it. They are now in 2nd place with a 3-1, tied with Seongnam Rocks in terms of that set score, but they are 5 rounds ahead. That's how much more dominant they've been.
Yeah, 5 rounds ahead, plus 12. That's even better than the undefeated Kwangdong Freaks, by the way, which just absolutely blows my mind here for MIRAEN SEJONG, as it really feels like the Freaks, MIRAEN SEJONG, and Rocks are pretty much guaranteed a spot in the playoffs at this point. Of course, we're only a little bit more than halfway through the season, so don't want to project too much. But for me, looking at this right now, those are the 4 teams to beat. Down at the bottom of the ranks, Desperado, despite suffering a really bad loss here today. 0-6 in rounds is actually going to put them into a negative round differential overall on the season. I still like their chances. I think they played well. I could tell that Banana is not happy with that one, but he's also such a hardworking player that I know he's going to go back, he's going to watch the VOD, he's going to review the replays and be like, what can we do better next time? How do we improve this? How do we not get blown out in item mode again? Because really their winning formula, it seems, is to dominate in item mode, come out in ace, and then potentially win that one.
Yeah, it's a strategy that can work, obviously. And for Banana, I mean, you mentioned him being a hardworking player. He has such a great reputation here in Korea. I think all of the players respect him. He's a very friendly guy. He's very funny as well. He's very popular in the West and the global scene. One of the most famous players, I would say, and one of the players that the global fans like to root for the most.
He's charismatic.
He's charismatic, and you hate to see a guy like that, struggling after a loss like this. But that second track is definitely one that's going to stay in your mind.
Yeah, 007, man.
007.
James Bond victory. All right, guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we get back, it's going to be the solo match, round of 32, Group D. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you soon.
정도는 괜찮아요. 기대비 안 차거든요 지금. 안 차면 기대봐요. 호준 거리가. 지역이 또 참여하고 있기 때문에 라이벌 의식이 좀 있지 않을까라는 생각도 해봅니다. 호준이 여기서 멱살 잡나요?
나비 뒤에 붙었습니다. 나비 뒷다리를 보고 싶다.
죽었어.
얘들아 이겼어.
나이스.
평소의 포지션과 정반대로 운영을 하고 있기 때문에요. 이거 루닝을 다운시킨 건 정말 크네요.
나이스. 영훈이 형 잘 막으시는데요?
마지막까지 화이팅.
네, 화이팅.
화이팅.
나비가 어떻게 한번 시비를 걸 수 있냐. 일단은 2위를 때리고 있는 건 락스입니다.
순위 뒤집기가 쉽진 않은 상황에서 우선 앞쪽에서 히어로와 호준.
봐봐요 뒤에 있어. 천천히 해봐.
자, 내줄게 한번. 채울게요. 채워줘. 나이스.
형 이리 때려도 돼. 내가 먼저 가봐.
저 꼬아놨어 살짝.
주영아 이제 가볼래?
기가 막히게 한번 막아줬기 때문에 지금까지 버티고 있는 거죠. 호준 선수의 디테일도 좋았던 게 뒤를 다 막아주고 히어로를 푸시해주면서 앞쪽에 1대를 계속 만들었어요.
나 붙었다. 7발이야. 오케이. 안 돌리고 있어. 돌리면 말해줘. 그냥 이렇게 봐야 돼.
직보 가줄게 1번.
상위권에서 뒤에 나비입니다.
가. 쭉 가. 야 와라. 얘들 마지막 사고 조심.
나비 팀플레이 판단 진짜 기가 막히네요.
이러면 완벽합니다. 락스가 1, 2, 3, 4.
야 승현아 1등 짚고 좋았다. 아니 7발 계속 묶었다 진짜. 나이스. 나는 멘탈 괜찮아. 영훈이랑 용준이 잡아줘.
서로 괜찮아요? 영훈이 형 괜찮?
뭐 괜찮아. 아니 얘 거의 지금 반절 마틴 가 있어 최혁은.
괜찮아.
뭐? 괜찮다고.
괜찮아.
나비가 천사 보게.
자 이거 과연 렉스 잡힐 것인지.
1등 뒤에 거리 돼. 뒤에 거리 돼.
힐파즈,
자살
힐파즈.
있거든?
뒤에 상찬.
하나 맞을 거야. 안 맞는다. 나 삥 났어. 이거 거리 조절 제대로 했는데.
부서.
유력 싸움이 있거든요.
부서 들어갑니다.
어떻게 해야 돼? 천천히 해. 지금 하면 되지. 지금부터 우리 맵이다.
보여줍시다. 오케이.
진짜로 베네치아 겉톱 채굴장. 그래 천천히 우리 템 챙기고 하자. 급한 거 없잖아 우리.
가드와 호준이 오래 잘 버텼기 때문에 뒤쪽에 있는 히어로와 녹이 아이템 챙겨서 올라올 수 있는 시간을 충분히 벌었죠.
빨렸어. 먼저 할게.
얘네 급하다.
아이템 상황 굉장히 중요한데 맨 마지막에 우주선이 한번 들어오겠지만 그건 해지로 상태가 될 거고요.
실드.
불 받고 1끝까지 밀었어. 와봐. 1분 줬어.
1m 따줄게.
뒤에 거리 돼. 뒤에 다 왔어. 상대 다 왔어 이제. 나 다리 맞았다. 반겼어. 했어. 이게 다 맞아. 가야 돼.
이겼어.
막고 하는 게 나왔다.
다행이다.
진짜로.
오늘 뭐 양팀에게 사실 언제나 중요한 매치긴 하겠지만 굉장히 중요하거든요.
4빈공이라는데?
너가 나가 그럼.
내가 할까?
너가 해. 자신 없어?
아니 어택은 해놔서 그냥 게임 생각 좀. 이겨줄게. 너 안 뛰면 형이 할게.
진짜 괜찮아요?
안 뛰면 내가 할게. 아니 나 자신 있으면 하고 자신 없으면 내가 할게.
형이 해주세요.
양 선수가 프레시드 원에서 한번 맞붙었었고 그 당시에 루닝이 승리했거든요. 이런 데서도 그렇죠. 일부러 무리할 필요 없다는 걸 호준이 알기 때문에 부스터 타이밍 완급 조절해줬어요. 들에 빠지면서 충분히 루닝의 주행이라면 자 조금씩 여기서 부담되는 건 호준입니다.
호준 어떻게 일단은 걸렸고 2탐 정말 일단은 스탑. 여기 살짝 먼저 쓰면
루닝도 나쁘지 않아요. 이 정도는 괜찮아요. 드랩이 안 차거든요 지금. 안 차면 드랩 호준 거리가 호준 타이밍.
호준.
각자의 경험만이 호준이 최강의 폼을 달하는 루닝을 잡아냈어요.
이제 두 번째 세트에 돌입을 합니다.
자 스피드는 있고 아이템 따고 여기로 갑시다.
스나이퍼의 입장에서는 속도는 아이템, 공격하는 아이템을 이용해서 계속 교란을 해야 되는데 묶이면 좀 어려워요.
1판 하나
나 돌렸어.
형 1등 빨아서 다 들었어.
가도 돼. 앞에 찍어줄게.
3등 팔해줬어.
하나 죽였어.
파리와 함께. 3판 들었다.
1파 주고.
현사 확보가 우선 데스페라도 있다 해서 근데 하필 바나나에게 두 개라는 게 약간 부담될 것 같거든요.
1, 2, 4, 4, 1 펼게.
자, 파리와.
다 돌렸어. 그냥 가봐.
오케이.
상대 둘 돌렸어. 지는 게 살아.
헤드를 먼저 해. 먼저 할게. 맞지 마 1등.
한번 미리 찔러도 돼. 둘
나이스.
돌렸어.
불파리와 이거 미사일이 있기 때문에 떠요. 대왕 바나나의 존재감도 너무나 컸어요.
5대선은 아무런 영향을 미치지 못합니다. 프라미스 올라가며 경기는 애결로 갑니다.
나이스. 많이
이게
먹었다.
형이야. 이게 형이야.
팀 내 에이스들이 과연 어떤 결정을 할지 아직 의논 중인 것 같습니다.
스트라이커 나왔네요.
내리막 구간에서 충분히 승부수 볼 수 있다는 건 아마 두 선수 다 알고 있을 거예요.
이렇게 밝혔네요. 어이. 이거 스트라이커 맞고 스트라이커가 안쪽 파고듭니다. 스트라이커. 이러면 스트라이커입니다. 오늘은 스트라이커 데이네요. 이게 형이야.
최근에 스트라이커의 폼이 심상치 않다는 말씀을 계속 드렸었는데 오늘 세레머니 마음껏 해도 될 것 같아요.
탈출에서 남은 경기들에서 승리를 원해야겠습니다.
1승 1패 어쨌든 맞물리고 있는 상황이라 이승 필요하거든요 오늘 경기.
용준아.
에?
할만하지?
아이, 그럼요.
영훈이가.
난 뒤에 이길 수 있어. 이길 수 있어.
이런 올라오고 있는 가운데 히어로가 또 1을 먹었습니다.
인정.
딱 나한테 했다. 빨았어 이제.
나 왼쪽 빨았어.
가봐. 틀렸다 한 번.
오른쪽 막아. 벗어났어.
다원이 하나야. 다원이 하나.
앞에.
가봐요 이제. 나 살짝 짧아.
봐봐, 다원. 얘 나야. 해놨어, 2번.
나이스. 앞에 2대1 해봐.
막는 중.
가봐 명부터.
나이스. 꼴찌 나 잡겠다.
10% 간다.
오케이. 앞에 3대 3이요. 살렸어, 차. 한 번 막을 수 있나? 괜찮아. 나 오른쪽.
아 꼴찌랑 1대1이긴 해.
막았어. 나이스. 근데 2번 막아놨어. 1단 웃으면 돼요? 막았어, 2번 막았어. 하나만 돌렸어. 나이스.
1사유치
1등만.
나 7등 고정이야 얘들아.
1등. 나이스. 다 지났다.
진짜 왜 이렇게 살아 너?
나 3대1 했어.
아야. 우리 빼고. 우리도 빼고 잘 나왔어. 아니 내가 아까 말했잖아. 쌤박 is killer. 맞아. 쌤박 킬러 김다워.
지금까지 미래선이 뭔가 각성한 플레이가 나오단 말이죠.
그렇습니다. 타이밍도 좋고 팀 단위의 공격도 굉장히 좋고요.
또 잡아놓게.
오케이. 계속 끌면서. 아, 아까 맞싸했어. 쌀.
나 파리.
아, 내가 실드. 나 왔어요.
바드가 여러 명의 선수들을 돌리기 위해서 사이렌을 꽤 오래 참는 모습이 있었는데
좋아요.
한 명 잡았어. 오케이. 물 잡아내.
천천히 해봐 얘들아. 영훈이 앞에 잡아놨어.
사이렌
나갈 수 있어요. 근데 녹이 돌렸어요 녹이. 이거 쟤 어떻게 해요?
나 파리야.
아, 나 영팔했다. 나 팔이 안 쳤거든? 팔이 다 들었어.
아이템전을 깔끔하게 승리했다는 점이 가장 큰 기쁨이 될 것 같습니다.
Under my check, if my name in your mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.
Welcome back, guys, to the KDL 2023. We've done both of our team matches today, but now it's time to find out who's advancing here in the round of 32 for our solo matches. I'm Wolf. With me is State, as he has been all day. He's not going to leave in the middle of the show.
I just like walk out. We swap in Will or Chobra.
I just put a teddy bear here. I'm like, who's me as a teddy bear? Just to surprise you guys, it's not State anymore.
What's it called? Like when you get one of those
sock
puppets
puppet
that you could. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, this is more important. The group stages, it's a little bit different here in the round of 32 than the previous solo matches. If you watch KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2, in that only the top 3 players advance to the round of 16 winners match. And that's because positions 4 and 5 from each of these 4 groups, which will total 8 players, will go into a redemption match, which I think is very exciting, especially in a group like this one in Group D. This is basically a group of death, is what a lot of the Korean fans are saying online, because it is so stacked. And so that will be played on November 4th, I believe, before we start the round of 16. And it should be a lot of fun. So top 5, really, what players are playing for right now. And we also have a new prize there at the bottom of the screen, which we just missed, which is the record holder, the person who holds the most records on individual tracks, which I believe right now is Neil so far here for this regular season. We'll get a 500,000 Korean won prize, which is about 500 USD. Nice little bit of pocket money for a little solo victory there. As we look at the roster, and Wolf, this is a crazy group.
It is a crazy group, and that's why I'm really happy with the changes with the redemption match, because you just have a bad day, or somebody knocks you the wrong way. It's not even your own fault. You drop down to 8th, you don't qualify, and it's one of the worst feelings ever. And for the fans as well, you want to get to see your player play as many matches as possible. So I do appreciate that. But let's go ahead and introduce our players here and their seeds, of course. If you're new to the KDL, we go from highest to lowest seeds, and that's why our defending champion Luning is going to be the gold racer here. And I'm just gonna say it. I was the first one to say this guy is really good. I'm just, you know what? Can I please just like gloat for a minute and be like, actually, this guy's insane. Like, look at this guy. He's really sick. Everyone's like, oh, he's all right. I'm like, no, he's actually gonna be the best. Just wanted to say, like, I was right. I just finally my chance. Congratulations, Luning.
You probably when you watch the other broadcasts, you probably skip right to the games. But no, I've been calling it every single time we see Luning on stage. If we're in like the pre-show before we get the team matches, the solo matches rolling. If I'm casting with Trobe, if I'm casting with Peter, I'm still hyping you up. I'm like, man, that Wolf guy was just so right about Luning, and he absolutely did perform to his expectations. Ding, of course, the player that we just saw on stage. Another one of the favorites to advance from this group, and now HyunSu just saying, survive, survive, survive. That is all he is looking to do here. Preseason 1, he had a great run, was able to make it in the top 8, actually finishing in 6th place. In Preseason 2, a little bit less of the result you would expect from a player of his caliber. So hopefully looking to change his odds here. Is that a dinosaur that we got? Oh, look at that. That's look at the neck.
It's like an action dinosaur.
An action dino. Yeah. That's sick. Oh, that's so cool. I used to always play with these dinosaur toys when I was a little kid. It was my favorite thing to do. I was one of those dinosaur nerds. What did he just read? He's like...
Somebody in the lobby is like, all right, like put the dinosaur away.
It's like, actually it was supposed to have feathers. You know, that's an incorrect skin that you have on that dinosaur. It's like, what? I can't believe this.
This HoJun now coming in as the purple racer here, running Hover Shark 7492. You can see he dropped out in round of 16. He's going to go for his 3rd time in a row, of course, though. This time around.
Yeah, going to try and get those 3 wins. That is one of the big rule changes that we've had from KDL Preseason 1 and 2 to the regular season. That is here in these early stages. If you win 3 rounds in a row at any stage of the solo match, you are going to be the victor, which is absolutely crazy. Promising, please go easy on me, although I think that he probably is one of the favorites to get out of the redemption match. But again, it's so stacked. I mean, we have Duzzi here too.
Duzzi, one of the big favorites in my mind.
Yeah.
I think not getting a lot of respect from the fans, especially on the global side of things for how good he is right now. I would be shocked if he doesn't get out. And he's part of the reason why it's a group of death, because you have Luning, you have Duzzi, you have HyunSu. His current form, I think, much better than it was last season. And yeah, that's right. You have HoJun in this group as well.
It's crazy.
Let's qualify.
He's the lowest seed. How insane is that HoJun is the lowest seed coming in here? HoJun, by the way, we're talking about Duzzi. Duzzi's a really young player, he's a rookie player, much like Will. And if I'm not mistaken, HoJun also debuted in Kartrider before Duzzi was born. I mean, that is what we're working with here in KDL, and HoJun is still able to perform at a top level in a game that is all about mechanics, it's all about reaction speeds, it's about quick thinking. He's still able to do it, absolutely one of the GOATs. We'll see how he does here, coming in as the bottom seed for the solo match. Group D, a round of 32, the group of death. We're gonna start it out on WKC Shanghai Circuit. Let's see who takes this one.
Track 1 here of Group D is underway. All eyes on HoJun, who will actually take first as the final seed. Will be able to come out here earlier, not cutting as much off of the starting block. Luning right on his heels.
Yeah, I actually like this start for HoJun a lot. Getting into first place very early, Luning with some body checks. HoJun trying his best. Actually a nice ricochet off of his opponent there. That body check was very good, but of course in solo matches like this one, it's so chaotic. You, on open tracks like this, absolutely cannot zone everyone, but with a tight inner line, HoJun able to retake first place. He's looking great. Yeah,
he's taking these really tight lines to the grass and doing a lot of outmaneuvering here. Now, Luning is going to be able to draft off of him here. There's nothing you can really do about that, but a nice block actually keep Luning at bay. And Luning just a little bit behind in terms of boost gauge right now, struggling to actually pass. HyunSu will pass him, in fact. HoJun having some really nice blocks here. He's the king of the track so far. HyunSu does pass him, but I mean, we'll see if he can keep it up.
That was a dangerous moment there for HoJun on that inner line. Colliding with the tire a little bit, but was able to recover. And now he's going to try and take this one again. And he's starting to fall a little bit behind. This is one of those things that can happen if you take first place very early, is it's so hard to actually hold on. But he's recovering yet again, now just behind HyunSu here in second place. I feel we've been on HoJun cam pretty much this entire time, but for good reason. I mean, look at these lines he's taking. He is playing out of his mind.
DDING actually making a last-minute entry, though, into the top 3 here. 300 meters to go. Can he actually sneak by? HoJun still holding first, and he will take it. He starts in first, and he finishes in first. Our 8th seed, the Emperor of Kartrider League. He is absolutely still in form, and it blows my mind every time we watch HoJun race like this. And in a competitive group like this, you know, we don't very often get to see first person, or not first person, but over the shoulder cams like that where you can watch one player from start to finish, because solo is usually so crazy. 8 racers, they're going to collide with some terrain. Who starts in first place in the first lap might finish in 8th. Anything can happen, right? But he maintained his positioning while we saw Duzzi sneak in. HyunSu battling back and forth with DDING. Promise and Percent were up there for a minute. But he just would not falter. He would not stop. And that is the kind of start you want, obviously, in a group of death like this, but that was a clean race, and it was just watching everyone race there. No one was making mistakes. He almost had that one scary moment. You mentioned it, but he was able to recover from it. But man, what a tight group we have so far.
HoJun absolutely racing out of his mind on the opening track, so next track selection is up to him. He's going to go to 4 Zigzag Timberland. Let's see if he can get 2 in a row. We go in the Woody, I don't know where I was going with that one actually with that introduction. The Woody racetrack of Zigzag Timberland. HoJun once again with a great start right now in 3rd place. And I mean, going back to track number 1 really quickly, as you said, it is so impressive what he was able to do, because everyone is drafting off him, everyone is trying to pass, he's blocking the entire time. Just tremendous stuff. And now picking one of the more technical tracks, HoJun is falling all the way down to 5th place. Instead, it is Luning, who's battling with HyunSu here in the top 2.
Yeah, very tight race between these two right now. Obviously, with these types of collisions on the current patch, it's not going to affect you as much. You know, colliding like this would have really hurt their momentum. We'd see some passes on, preseason 2, but not so much here. HyunSu passing, doesn't get to take the outer here and actually almost gets that control, but Luning is going to hold on to it. This is one of the tighter and more awkward parts of the track. He handled it perfectly, not colliding with any walls here, really. And the gap is starting to widen a little bit.
Yeah, Luning solidifying. HoJun for a moment looked like he might be making a play, but he got a little bit greedy with his lines, had a bad collision, falls all the way down to 8th place. So looking for a repeat here is unlikely for HoJun as we enter lap number 2. Luning with a comfortable lead, about a quarter of a second ahead of HyunSu, but let's Keep in mind, especially on these straightaways, when you're able to just draft off your opponent continuously here as the 2-ranked player, that can get shaken up very quickly.
Certainly can. But I mean, Luning and HyunSu just not giving up any distance here to the rest of the racers. HyunSu taking a little bit of an outer here, but Luning keeps pushing him away, then reversing right back into those inners. It's classic solo mode here. And I mean, as close as it gets, he's just not giving up ground. HyunSu does overtake him for a moment. Oh, that's going to hurt.
Duzzi has been taking some remarkable lines between Luning and HyunSu to try and work his way into this one. It's going to net him second place for now as he's looking to pass HyunSu, and indeed he does. But Luning here on the outer, going to try and use this draft to get past here on the turn, but there are some collisions and a little bit of a misplay right there going for that wide angle. There are just so many bodies, it's hard to race this one perfectly. I don't know who's going to take it. HyunSu is back again in the lead.
I mean, HyunSu looks like he is in position to do so, but Brissett with a better line, goes on the inner there. Bump though, that's going to hurt him, and HyunSu gets back control. HoJun!
What? No way! How is this possible? HoJun coming out of seemingly nowhere. It was so messy there in the final couple of hairpin turns. There were so many collisions between everybody in the top 4 ranks, and HoJun, let's not forget in lap number 1, he took a really greedy line. He collided with a wall. He fell to 8th place. He was off the mini-map for a time in the picture-in-picture.
They said he's a has-been. They said he's not coming back. They said he's 8th seed. He just reaches his hand out of the coffin and grabs the finish line. 8th place to first. In the first track, he's first the whole time practically. Yeah, there were some shakeups for a few seconds, but he was consistently in control. This time he battles his way back, and he's like, yeah, you guys can bump into each other. You guys can fight for first all you want. It's going to be me in the end, baby. I'm coming through. HoJun might be the first player to get 3 in a row. We've seen multiple 2 in a rows at the beginning. You and I were talking about this before the show, but maybe he's going to be the first one to go 3 and done if he can win this next track. It's his track choice again.
If HoJun wins this next track, this group is over. He's won. The standings are going to fall where they are, so this has implications not just to be the first player ever to do this in the KDL regular season, but also for every other racer in this lobby. You have to be on point right now because position 5, that's the cutoff. We're going to Terracotta Twister. It is HoJun's track of choice. Will he get 3 in a row?
HoJun 2 in a row here, all eyes on the Emperor. He will take first off the cut again at the starting block here. This guy is insane. What year is it? We'll get passed here by WooJun ultimately, but going back to the point you made, look at the scores to the bottom left. Percent, Promise, Duzzi, and WooJun. These are the players that are in danger of getting eliminated if they don't place higher than top 4 here if he crosses that finish line first a 3rd time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much pressure on everybody else at the bottom of the standings, even to the point where if you have to just sweep defensively to prevent HoJun from winning this track so that your chances stay alive, you might go for it even if it nets you less points in this specific track. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that as everyone basically fighting for survival right now. HoJun is in 4th place, taking this outer line as we finish lap number 1. He is still in striking distance. Let's not forget, on the previous track, he basically rose from the dead in Spooktober fashion to come back. I mean, his orange color is like he's a pumpkin man. And already here, he's back in the 3rd place for a moment there, drafting off of HyunSu. Will he be able to find the line?
If he wins this, I'm making a HoJun jack-o'-lantern. But look, right now it's very similar to the last track, but for WooJun, remember, to contextualize the group further, he is in last right now at -1, so the fact that he's up here in top 3 is massive, especially if HoJun is going to cross that first, but he'd like to be the one to do it himself. We're in the final lap now, going to the inner part here of Terracotta Twister. HoJun taking the cross line here, but losing a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, pretty much every single player colliding there. So Percent almost fell off the entire track, instead he's just go really wide, and now we have a top 3. It's HyunSu, WooJun, and HoJun. I don't know if HoJun's going to be able to boost his way through this one. He goes for the inner line.
Wait! He might.
All right, he's getting closer and closer, going for the draft. He's trying to thread the needle, and no, he's right behind HyunSu, a fraction of a second behind, and he doesn't get the 1st place, but man, he made that one about as close as it could possibly get. Even coming out of the tomb section there, you felt like HoJun really didn't have a chance with how much distance there was between him in 3rd and HyunSu in 1st place. But despite that, he was still able to make it a photo finish. And so, folks, the race, it will continue on. HyunSu breaks the streak. And for racers like WooJun right now, I mean, that is a load off your shoulders, because say HoJun wins that one, even if WooJun gets a top 3 performance, he's probably still out, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he needs this. He needs as best as he can get. I mean, as you can see, he's still in 6th place, tied with Duzzi and percent down at 4. We have a pretty clear top 3, and then it drops down quite substantially. But we are seeing the same racers dominate this group, which is kind of against the grain of the narrative we had going into this, because it's supposed to be the group of death. It's supposed to be hyper-competitive, but it's HoJun's world and HyunSu's world that we're living in right now. Luning having obviously a great start as well, but man, this is so tense. But the group will continue, as mentioned, and it's anyone's race to take. I mean, you can still recover here because now the 3 in a row has reset as we move into our 4th track here. Mexico Touring Rally.
All right, as we enter the streets of Mexico on this 1-lap track, just to recap really quickly, HoJun not getting the 3rd victory in a row means that the streak is reset, and we are once again playing for 50. So everyone here has a bit of time to start to work their way back up the rankings. If you're a percent right now, or WooJun sitting at 4th place or with 4 points, just like Duzzi, this is really a breath of fresh air, and you can tell right now that they are feeling the pressure with WooJun and Duzzi in the top 2 positions. They really want to start the comeback.
Yeah, they need to. We saw WooJun really push for that early lead last time around. Now, HyunSu is really the only one who could probably get that 3 in a row left here anymore, because he got that one. He gets 2 more, will be at 40. HoJun's not going to get 3 in a row because he'll break 50 if he does. And he's still in a fantastic position. Sure, he didn't win that last track, but he got 2nd, which will give him those 7 points. So he's feeling great as Duzzi and Luning are battling it out right now here. It's a 1-lap track, very narrow here. So trying to find an angle here, use that hill as best you can to get a side spot there. Luning takes that 1st place. Hard to pass him here on these final turns.
I love the line that HyunSu took on those previous turns, but there were just a little bit too many collisions here for him to be able to actually gain some ground, as everyone going to go for the inner line, it seems. HyunSu trying to get another win here if he can. He's right behind Luning, coming with the draft and also the nitrous. He might have enough speed here as we enter the final 300 meters of the track. It is neck and neck. Luning boxing him out. Will Luning be able to hold on, or will HyunSu on the outside pick up a win? My goodness, you could tell Luning was doing everything in his power to just try and slow his roll, because he knew that if he wasn't able to succeed with a persistent block, he was going to get 2nd place. At the end of the day, he wasn't quite able to do it, but
I mean, Luning, wow, the way he took some of those lines, he sacrificed significant speed, and it's a tie, actually.
Oh, it's actually a tie!
Wow, okay, I didn't realize that.
I love how HyunSu gets the new record here. It's like, not you, Luning.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I don't know how that's going to be decided. It breaks Hero's record. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that will be decided in terms of the consecutive points. Like, does it still count for HyunSu getting a 1st in a row? I think it should, but I haven't read the rule book on this one. But he moves up to 30, so assuming that that's still the case, if he wins 1 more, then this ends. So very scary for Promise, WooJun, Duzzi, and percent. But some of the ways we were seeing Luning take those turns, he was sacrificing some speed while he was basically avoiding drafts and trying to sweep at the same time. And it was actually beautiful to watch, but cost him a little bit of speed there. HyunSu ties there for 1st. And we'll get confirmation for you guys if we can about the 3 in a row. But my assumption is, I mean, that's still a 1st place. Even if it's a tie, should still be 3 in a row. You get the victory. I don't know what would have happened if 3 people got ties in a row. That would never happen in Kart Rider. But if that happened, I guess they'd probably do an ace match face-off or something like that.
They all hold hands. They cross the finish line 3 times in a row. It's like the ending of like a cheesy track racing movie or something like that. All right, fellas. We are going to Factory Facility 5 here for the next track, getting closer and closer to the end here. So these racers got to do their best to try and come back in this one, as HyunSu and HoJun are pulling further and further ahead.
Off we go, HyunSu tying for 1st, meaning he's on 2 in a row. 3 points ahead now of HoJun, who ended up with 0 on that last track, remains at 27, still in a fine place in the group. It's really WooJun, Promise, percent, and Duzzi that are most worried about this group ending now.
Yeah, HoJun coming in with a really nice line, able to work his way all the way up into 1st place in a pretty comfortable fashion. Only DDING and HyunSu in striking distance of him right now as we all go for the build here. I think WooJun actually had not the best angle on that one, but most players able to navigate it quite well. that tight little jump. And Percent actually doing a bit of body blocking there right there, almost playing into HoJun's hand.
So we got the confirmation it does count because at that moment of the tie, HyunSu's accumulated points are higher.
Ah.
So it counts as him getting the consecutive first places. So we'll keep that in mind. He is not currently in the race for first. He's actually back in 6th, so it might not be relevant at the end of the day. As Promise and Percent, two unlikely heroes here coming through the first part of this.
Yeah, the battle of the P's here for first place for a moment, but Ding now closing in. We'll see if he's able to pass Percent on these tricky turns. A lot of 90-degree angles, almost hairpins coming through as Percent is navigating this beautifully, but Ding, of course, with a boost. And the draft might be able to make something happen. He goes for a really ambitious inner line. It's neck and neck between him and Percent. I think Ding might have just enough speed, but no. Percent able to hold on, but my goodness, did Ding make a run for it. And Percent gets some much needed points on the board, going from 3 to 13.
3 to 13, a much needed win. And he was at the bottom of the pack. This is definitely going to shoot him up. You can see he's super hyped on camera now in his winner pose as well. Actually, like almost looks like it's live with how happy he was there when he signed off on the winner form there. Ding just a few seconds behind 0.014, as you can see here. And the group is opened up again. Those points are reset, of course, and with HyunSu only grabbing a few there, he is going to be in first now, but still not going to be able, this is not going to end on this next race. No one can reach 50, and so we're going to have at least 2 more tracks to play.
Yeah, 2, possibly even 3, considering how some of these players at the bottom of the ranks, we were talking about this being a group of death, and we were surprised by how top-heavy it was, especially in positions 1 through 3. To start things out with HoJun dominating and a couple of players right behind him really raking in the points with podium finishes. And now things are kind of going a little bit more to script. It's getting closer and closer as we continue on here in the final group of the round of 32. Track of choice coming in. It's going to be Mine Gold Rush. Off we go on Percent's track of choice, Mine Gold Rush. Even going back a couple of patches ago, before we had the heroic tier of cards, was one of the most technical and high-speed ones because pretty much the entire track is this downhill section with a lot of 90-degree turns. So expect with all these gears it to be a really tight race, and it's all about the lines. And you see some players actually clipping that 90-degree turn, falling way behind.
And even if you you are battling against the 90-degree turns, but you're also battling against other racers who are doing the same. And if they just bump you because they're trying to take their specific line, I mean, it might not even be your fault, but you might end up getting knocked back. Luning did, but his recovery was swift. He's dropped down to 8th now, after I said a caster curse, I guess, but it was a nice recovery from what could have been a disastrous situation. Now, Promise in first place here as we take the portal, and some of these unlikely heroes, the ones at the bottom half of the standings, are really making a comeback. Percent as well, now top 2, could look for a back-to-back himself.
Yeah, pretty much only Ding is in a contestable position right now that has a lot of points, and he is sitting at 26 in total, in first place for the moment, able to hold on to it there through that turn. But Percent and Promise, one on the inner, one on the outer. It's impossible to block all of the angles. Will take the lead.
Okay, Percent fighting his way through here, taking the most inner you could ever hope to take here on this final lap. Jumping through this tunnel here, we'll see if Promise could go with the far inner there. Actually, that bump helping Percent out quite a bit.
Yeah, Percent's in a really commanding position right now. He also has 2 nitrous, so a lot of boost gauge left. Ding will pass him for a moment, but Percent, his nitrous gauge is so full. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to make a play here at the finish line.
Looking for it. Oh, bumps the wall though. Still has a chance here, but I don't think so. It's going to be Promise who crosses the finish line first. So Percent goes from 3 to 13. Promise going to go from 11 to 21. And WooJun, maybe he's going to be the next one who's at the bottom of the pack to take a win here if this trend continues. We might be in for a long night of Kart Rider if this continues, because we had clear dominant favorites early on, but now it's changing quite a bit. HyunSu will still take 3rd here.
Yeah, Ding also got 2nd place, and that's going to be a nice set of points to go into his pocket. He's been very quietly kind of moving up the rankings here as we get closer and closer to the end. I think we're still guaranteed at least 2 more tracks. Yeah, at least 2 more tracks here.
HyunSu only at 39 after that third place finish. If he had gotten 40, he could end it with a win. Obviously, if we saw Percent take that, he could end it with a third win in a row. But this is a competitive group. It's now really living up to Group of Death, because I think before this I was kind of like, well, it looks like we pretty much know, but it has changed here in these last few tracks.
HyunSu, HoJun, DDING, Promise, and Luning right now at the threshold to qualify either for the redemption match or the round of 16. We'll see if any of these other racers are able to close the distance as we're getting closer and closer to that finish line. Let's move on to round 7, World Tour Miami Drive.
Off we go on Miami Drive. HoJun, center stage here, not able to get that cut to first that we saw in the first 2 tracks, but it's Miami Drive, bit of a rarer one for solos. That's why we're seeing it so deep in this group. It's a little bit of a tougher one to actually optimize. It's very new. And as WooJun actually now has taken the first part of this lap into his own hands.
That Percent on the outer line. Oh man, that was close. Yeah, that was not the best. It wasn't as disastrous as it could have been, but I think he actually missed that boost with all those collisions and almost lost a lot of momentum too. Instead, he will remain in the middle of the pack as it's a very tight race here. Coming through lap number 1, HoJun right now just kind of, I think, recognizing the situation and the danger of collision here on these turns and just wisely hanging back, waiting for his moment to strike.
Yeah, just cutting for nitro instead of actually trying to fight his way through. That's why he has an extra nitro that's going to push him up to top 5. He has a ton of experience. He knows how to go from 8th to 1st. We saw it happen in the first track. And you can see, just like that, he gets some extra boost, uses it very well in this part of the track where there's not a lot of turns. And now we're back onto these boost platforms. He's ready and set to go to compete for first.
Yeah, man, what a wise play there by HoJun, just hanging back and then waiting until he can actually thread the needle and work his way up into top 5. As HoJun continuing to try and fight for this one. WooJun right now in first place. Would love to add some more points and try to get into contention for top 5. Only sitting at 7 right now on the board, so it's going to be a long journey for him if he wants to come back.
Okay, Luning also battling his way through here as best as he can. WooJun starting to build such a significant lead, it's going to be tough to pass him. HoJun does currently lead Nitro because of those extra cuts earlier. You can see once again, he's still got 2. He's got a really nice chance here.
Yeah, but WooJun actually with kind of a rough draw on that jump. Some collisions not going his way. He will fall to second place as Luning actually really pulling away right now. WooJun, does he have enough nitrous in the bank to actually finish this one in first place? I think he might. Despite really, I don't want to say fumbling, but kind of getting a bad draw on that jump, he was able to recover beautifully.
And HoJun, you know, he played this track so old school. You have, if he gets third place in the end, we were tracking him a lot. The observers are watching. WooJun finally puts a win on the board here. We'll jump up to 17, which is huge. And this group is very tight in the middle of the pack right now. But I loved watching HoJun fight his way to second, here with some of those nitros. We watched him for a lot of that track, how he very efficiently built those and then used them at opportune moments where everyone else was colliding on, for example, a really risky turn. He used his nitros sometimes in places where you don't normally want a nitro because it's high risk, but he used it opportunistically. That is super cool to see. Actually, with that second place finish, is going to take first place here in the group for now. Promise and Luning tied at 4th at 25 points apiece. They're not guaranteed in, either of them, and in fact, both of them could be eliminated if they don't do well in these next few races. But this is very likely going to be the last race.
Yeah, HoJun and HyunSu both in striking distance of closing this one out. They do. WooJun, Percent, and Duzzi are falling out of the solo matches here in the regular season of KDL. As the map choice comes in, it's going to be Glacier Extreme Stadium, potentially the last track of the night. Let's see who takes it. Here we go on Glacier Extreme Stadium. Wolf, in the team matches, you're talking about how this is one of your favorite matches.
It's my favorite track right now.
I feel like it's even better in the solos where every man is fighting for their life as HyunSu and HoJun going to try their best right now to close this one out. Both of them in top 3. DDING, he is in the top 5 position, but he would love to get a victory here.
Yeah, so if HyunSu and HoJun, either of them finish first, it is over. Second is not going to be good enough because HoJun is 1 point shy at 7 points to make it 49. So either of them first place, that's the end of the race. But if neither of them do, then we'll have at least one more. Still very likely with how this race, or these races have been going, that they have a good chance. And if you look at HyunSu's position right now as he goes into these first hairpins, he can do whatever he wants, under threat by no one. barely out of draft range here of Ding. Ding is making it very close, and he will be in draft range in just a moment here. But still, HyunSu got a lot of free time there on those hairpins.
Yeah, Ding and Luning finally able to draft a little bit here. Will allow them to close the distance. HyunSu, he pulled ahead at an opportune moment, and as a result, it was almost like all the other racers going through those hairpins were kind of cannibalizing each other with the collisions, and it's not as if they're not trying to catch up to HyunSu. It's just kind of the way the game plays. So finally here, as the race thins out a little bit, Luning and Ding are able to get into striking position. Luning actually with a really nice line, able to pass HyunSu for a moment, so he's fighting to solidify his position right now. He is at the threshold with 25 points. That is tied for 5th place. He does not want to go to the redemption match. He wants to go to the round of 16.
HyunSu drafting really well here onto Luning, almost getting that full boost off of it. And double nitros here, final hairpin.
Oh,
better
my God.
lines for HyunSu. That was God tier. See if he can use that extra boost advantage here to pass Luning in the last 400 meters and close this out.
Yeah, draft and a boost might be enough there for HyunSu, but instead it seems like Luning is going to keep this one going. His heart rate at 160 in a position that he really needed to win. As Luning, he does not, as I said, want to fall into the redemption match. Top 3 is where you really want to be to just instantly seed yourself into the round of 16 and not be fighting for your tournament life in a do-or-die match later on here in the tournament. So it's an important victory there for Luning. He's closing the distance quite a bit. Actually, I have to wait and see the math. I'm not quite as good as arithmetic as you are,
It's
Wolf, but
4th place for him currently at 35. He's 2 behind Ding. HoJun and HyunSu very close. Either of them get top 2. That's the end of the group. And I mean, right now, if you look at the difference between Ding, Luning, and Percent, like it cuts off after 5th quite substantially. So if you're one of those players on the fringe case and you want to break into top 3, not only do you need to win this next track, Snowbound Slopes, which is where we're headed, but you also very likely have to hope for some of those top players to actually drop down to the lower places. So it is very, very tough right now. This, again, likely to be the last race, Snowbound Slopes. Off we go, HyunSu. 43 points, HoJun 46. 10 points for first, 7 points for second. Means that if either of these racers get top 2, it'll close out the group. They will acquire 50, and the standings will stand. I know that sounds really weird when I say it like that, but the current standings will decide who qualifies and who has to go to that last chance.
yeah, and that's why Luning versus Ding is a really important storyline to follow in this one. Ding right now is sitting at 37 points, Luning at 35. And that's fighting for top 3. So if Luning is able to pass him, he's going to see himself directly into the round of 16 should things finish out right here on this final track. Otherwise, it seems like Luning, one of the favorites coming into this group, even the yellow stripe player, is going to fall to the redemption match. But right now, he's in a great position. He's a couple placements ahead of Ding as we look to get closer and closer to wrapping up. Lap number 1, HyunSu in the lead.
Yeah, and you know, some of the pension styles we've seen find success in the past is just not going to cut it in a group of death like this. You need to have top podium finishes if you're going to compete with these guys. HyunSu and Luning battling it out right now. Going to go ahead and take this ski lift here. Advantage, obviously, to HyunSu right now. We'll come out of this one with Luning in first and second place. Luning battling this out really well. Again, second isn't enough for some of these bottom place players for HyunSu. If he gets second, their tournament life is potentially over. They're going to have to play that additional round.
Yeah, and for Ding as well, he's looking at this right now with HyunSu in position to close this thing out with a victory or a second place finish. And with Luning right now sitting in first place, Ding, he's fighting to try and not go to the redemption match, but no! With that collision, he clips into the wall, and I think Ding almost a lock right now for 8th place. It's going to be so hard to recover.
Yeah, we're deep in the second lap right now. There's just no way he can catch up. You can see he's not even on the mini-map here. HoJun also going to eat a ton of slowdown there, but he's pretty safe at 46. Really now about WooJun could push himself up to 28 here. And Luning looks like he is in prime position to close this one out. The gap is large. WooJun does have some draft he can pull off here as we go into this final slope.
And in kind of a surprising turn of events, both HyunSu and HoJun with some Uncharacteristic mistakes mean that we are not going to close things out here on this track. The race will continue on. Luning is going to move up in the ranks with a first place finish. WooJun is going to try and keep his tournament life alive here with a second place one, as I feel like we've said this like 3 times in a row now. I'm almost certain the next track will be the final one with how close some of these races are getting, but I'm curious.
At this point, it's all going to be like the final track is like everyone is at 49. I'm like, I think this is going to be the last one. But, I mean, Luning does take this. We had our favorites not quite perform as actually a track record for Luning as well. He had such a lead there.
Yeah. HoJun actually 1 point away from closing. That's so funny.
Yeah, and HyunSu also drops down here, 43. So 3 racers can, of course, end with a top 2 finish. Now, DDING sitting on that 4th place spot. He wants to do well here, but also hope that HyunSu drops down quite heavily if he wants to avoid that redemption match.
For HoJun, I think he just needs a top 6 to close this one out or something like that. It's +1, I believe, for 6th position here in the solo. So we're getting ready to see what the map of choice is going to be. A lot on the line here. Racers trying to determine whether they're going to go to the round of 16, to the redemption match, or be eliminated from this tournament. It's likely all going to come down to this. Village Boom Hill title is the selection. Who's going to the round of 16? Who's going to the redemption match? Who's going home? Let's find out. Village Boom Hill Tunnel, one of the trickier one-lappers here that we have. HoJun only needing a top 6 finish to close this one out. And just really quickly before we get into the action, HyunSu right now sitting at the cutoff for 3rd place with 43 points. It's a 7-point gain that DDING needs to catch up to him. He needs something like 1st place to actually make it happen.
Yeah, he needs that 1st place, and I mean, this is just such a top-heavy group right now that it's really insane. He needs a 1st place, and he also needs to hope that, you know, HyunSu, for example, has a bad race, which is currently not happening. He's sitting in 3rd place right now, does drop to 4th.
Also, let's keep in mind, I didn't even catch this, that Luning is on a 2-win streak, and there's a chance that Luning, if he wins this track, he's 1st place in the group no matter what. So it could be the first time that we have somebody win with a 3-win streak, and also they would have gotten 50 points anyway. So it would be a little anticlimactic, but he's in a pretty good position right now. Everyone going for the big build. Luning actually missing the upper line, so that's going to cost him a bit of time. Now it's DDING versus HoJun here in 1st and 2nd place.
Yeah, HoJun doesn't care. He's 1 point away. He's looking for 1st place. That'll be the one he needs to hit 50, is that one over his head. If he can pass DDING here on these shortcuts here, ramps handled very well by DDING there, blocking HoJun back. Recovery is good. 150 meters. HoJun taking the inner. And he's going to take it. 3 wins to his name in this solo group, and he's going to jump up to 59.
He intentionally got 49 points so that he can get the maximum possible.
Points. Maximum points. The Emperor, he says, point his finger up. He said, more points up in the rankings. I'm moving up.
Yeah,
8th seed in this group. 1st place finisher.
Yeah, man. HoJun won those first 2 tracks, and he's like, no, 30 points, it's not enough. I need 59. 59 is many more than 30. Is HoJun going to send us home with a victory. DDING right there, he did get 2nd place, but it's not enough to actually close the distance there over HyunSu, who had another great finish as we look now at the standings. Actually, wait, Promise and Duzzi tied for 5th and 6th. Wait, we have a 3-way tie for 5th place. And 5th place is the cutoff for the redemption match. So I do believe
we'll probably have a tiebreaker.
That we are going to have a tiebreaker where one racer is going to be able to decide who's going to the redemption match.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, we called 3 races in a row. We're like, you know what, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the last one, and now we have a 3-way tie for 5th.
Yeah. I mean, it is insane to me that the 3rd place racer in this group has 43 points. I don't think we've like really ever seen something like that before. That's crazy. Like how close the top 3 were, how dominant they were, and how big the divide is. You go from 43 down to like 20s, right? It's pretty insane. And then you have the massive 3-way tie, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But, I mean, HoJun started off with a bang. Then you had Luning return, HyunSu. And we had several racers almost get the 3. We had 3 racers get 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Such a wild group. The group of death, you know, really being top-heavy more than expected.
And living up to expectations, too. And sure, it was top-heavy, but it's not as if we had HoJun or HyunSu or Luning run away with it. It was close, even down at the very end. You know, if HoJun doesn't win that track, maybe we have somebody else in first place. And even for 5th place for the tiebreaker, Percent is at 22 total points. He just missed the tiebreaker by 3. So from top to bottom, this group was so stacked. It was so close. I feel bad for Percent. You know, just a handful of points away from going into a tiebreaker to potentially keep his tournament hopes alive. But as we're getting ready to load into the track, it's going to be Promise, Duzzi, and HoJun. Who is going to be going to the redemption match? Who's going to go home?
We're going to find out. I mean, this is insane. Shanghai Circuit will be the tiebreaker track here. HoJun, Promise, Duzzi, 3 players racing for their lives here. Will be the final race of the night. 25 points apiece for 3 racers, a 3-way tie for the redemption match here in KDL 2023. This is Group D of the round of 32. Let's see who's going to take it on this 2-lap track.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of metagaming got to kind of do on this one, too. And in situations like this one for Duzzi and HoJun, if they're both behind Promise, you don't really want to collide. You don't really want to try and throw your opponents off because it's all about first place. It's not 2 players moving on. Oh, no, Promise. That's a big collision. He's going to fall back. Now it almost feels like a 1v1.
Yeah, there is a lot of space you can gain, though, on this track when it's only 3 racers because it's wide open. So don't count Promise out just yet. If he can actually cut properly and build up some additional boost gauge to get himself into drafting range, there is still a chance for him. It's not like an ace match where you're just completely out because you're never going to be in draft range. He can still compete here. It's going to be tough, don't get me wrong, but I think he still has a small chance here.
No, you're absolutely right. I might have called that one a little bit too quick as Promise can't hang with the best of them. Duzzi and HoJun right now, though, considering their 1v1. Promise actually, man, even faster than expected. Coming back, I guess Duzzi and HoJun just trying to play this 1v1 game. Gave Promise all the time in the world, actually, with the drafts, and he's going to navigate that turn a little bit better than last time, not clipping the wall in. He's in 2nd place. He's actually in striking distance.
What a story if he actually could take this after that huge mistake earlier. 2nd lap here, we're moving into some of these big turns now. Duzzi falling into 3rd. HoJun trying to block here. Is in draft range, of course, of Promise. Very close.
Promise actually has a nitro gauge lead right now, and he can draft off of HoJun here as we get closer and closer to the straightaway, but instead it's Duzzi versus HoJun here in the final one. HoJun is going to be the one to make it. Promise, he went for the final play, wasn't able to quite pull it off, and HoJun, in fact, is going to be the racer to advance into the redemption match with Duzzi and Promise falling out of the round of 32. And my goodness, that was really close. You're right, I certainly called Promise off way too early, man. He came back, he made a show of it.
I mean, he really did play it as best as he could, to be honest. And, I mean, I didn't have high hopes for him after that, but I thought, you know, we have seen crazier things happen on this track because it's quite wide. But at the end of the day, you know, he kind of shot his shot a little bit early there in the final moments with that additional boost gauge and wasn't able to close it out, wasn't able to get any blocks off there. A competitive group, to be sure. I think none of these players that are going home tonight empty-handed out of the group should be ashamed or embarrassed because this is one of the toughest groups we have ever seen in the KDL. We say that after preseason 1, we were like, oh, some of these groups are insane. Preseason 2, we're like, these groups are more insane and everyone's better than they were before. And we have seen some crazy races here in the 2023 KDL as well. It's just high-level play that we've got, and that's what everyone wants to see. And where there are winners, there will always be losers. So DDING and HoJun will be the redemption match players. A gap of 3, 46 to 43 for 3rd to 4th. That is, again, just unheard of insane. HoJun will take 1st in the group with HyunSu pulling up 2nd.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen any 8-player group like this get so close down with 4th place having 43 points. And not just in the days that I've casted, but the days that I've watched, you know, you and Will or you and Peter cast. That's just a phenomenal one. And, you know, when we started out here in Group D, we were wondering whether it was actually going to live up to the Group of Death title, because after the first couple of races, it felt like we had 3 racers that were just running away with that thing, and then everybody in the bottom rank started coming back. Even Percent was only 3 points away from making it a 4-way tiebreaker, so just an absolutely incredible day. It was a ton of fun.
I mean, sometimes we have these groups too where somebody at the bottom part of the group will get completely dominated, will walk away with, like, you know, 4 points or 7 points, and you're like, oh man, that was a really rough group for this guy for today. Yeah. But even Percent won a track, right? So very fun group. We're going to roll it back a little bit, rewind to what happened before the solo matches. We did have 2 team matches. This was a very close match between NUTMITE and Finale here. NUTMITE ultimately does take it. Finale still winless, unfortunately, despite having such a dominant run at speed.
Yeah, I think Finale, if memory serves, won the first 4 tracks in a row. They swept speed mode. They went 1-0 up in item. And it seemed like NUTMITE was not going to live up to the expectations that we as the casters had for them. Of course, the fan vote coming into this one was heavily in favor of Finale, but I always thought NUTMITE was going to be able to bust out the win, and they were able to make the item mode comeback, force the ace match, and bring in the victory there. And then this one also a little bit surprising. I really thought Desperado, they had almost a 70% win rate in item mode coming into today, and MIRAEN SEJONG just absolutely cleaned the floor. And some of those tracks that were really close, we actually had one finish, which was one of the closest I've ever seen an item. It was 007.007 seconds was the difference between MIRAEN SEJONG winning and losing on track number 2. So if you missed that one, maybe go back and watch it, as it was stellar. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, a 6-0 sweep.
I think that the speed mode makes, like, the way the speed went is definitely, like, 6-0 worthy, right? If you did watch the games, you didn't watch the races, and you're like, oh man, 6-0 stomp. I think that holds true for speed. I do not think it holds true for item, as you say. I think item was a lot more competitive, a lot closer, and Desperado did put up a better fight than I think the scoreline shows, but it was a little bit surprising that they got 3-0'd. But MSJ just looking so strong right now. I think one of the big dark horses in this tournament. And it's weird to call them that because they are a super team. But the truth is, you know, they're competing with Kwangdong Freaks. They're competing with Live Sandbox, the new Sungnam Rocks, which looks really strong right now. And, you know, they look better every week. So I'm kind of warning everybody or kind of blessing them maybe. Keep your eyes on this team.
I mean, look at the round differentials right now. Kwangdong Freaks is still undefeated, but that makes it even more impressive that MIRAEN SEJONG has a round advantage over the Freaks. That's how dominant they've been when they win. And when they lose, it's very, very close. So certainly a team to watch out for as we just recap the round of 32 bracket. Of course, top 3 players from each group advancing directly into the round of 16. And then everybody you see in the redemption match, 4th and 5th place from Group A through Group D, are going to play in a final match.
You could call it, yeah, you could call it Group R.
Group
basically.
R?
They're going to play Group R for redemption. And then we don't have, obviously, our round of 16 set until that group is played. So we won't have those groups for you just yet. But Wednesday is the triple team match day. I feel like, for me, Kwangdong Freaks versus MIRAEN SEJONG, that's going to be a banger. Sungnam Rocks against Live Sandbox, yeah, also banger. It's going to be a really good day of Kart Rider on the 1st of November.
Yeah, this might be one of the best days in total as well. Always has been impressive me. I think they're better than their standings actually show. They're a very solid team. Desperado, they got blown out today, but we all know that they're more capable than they showcased here against MIRAEN SEJONG. And yeah, in terms of a lineup of matches, that's about as good as it possibly gets. I mean, maybe day 1 of KDL regular season where we had Live Sandbox versus the Freaks in the first match to kick this thing off was possibly better, but yeah, you absolutely do not want to miss that show on Wednesday. It's going to be a great.
Yeah, and you have 2 of those matches that are incredible, and of course that first one should be good as well. But thank you guys so much for watching today. We had a fantastic day of matches, but we'll be back with those 3 team matches on Wednesday, and we'll see you then.
your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off in my brain and I'm bad to the bone.